To that position, I mean, do you think that this country needs poor, brown, desperate people to do the low-paying jobs nobody wants to do, and we better make sure we always have poor, brown, desperate people in order to do those jobs?
I feel like you support slavery if you say that.
Okay, actually, wait a second. Wait a second. I'm sorry. One, no, two.
Kind of where I'm
I
going.
would preferably would give these people some sort of green card or amnesty. I do have a question for you. Do you think these people are better off here or in Venezuela?
Better
I
off
think they're
supporting
better-
their
they're
home
gonna
where
be-
they came from.
What is this cheesy ass intro? Oh my god.
All right. Number one, which dipshit, I'm going to say, was probably Scratch because he was the only one who unmuted himself while while our lovely introduction that everybody else is always jamming backstage. I'm going to go ahead and give you a 5-minute penalty to the back for rudely interrupting our jam session. That's the one intro that the Crucible crew and every other fucking person that comes here enjoys. So 5 minutes in the back for you. And B-Twix is sending out penalties. Ryan, do you care to explain calling me a racist in the chat?
Yeah, to be clear, I didn't call you a racist. I said you're low-key racist, which I stand by, but we can talk about that another time. Do you mind if I say a quick thing before I go back for 5 minutes?
Hold up, because you know it's my job to try to extract all of the information while I'm agreeable with things being said or not. And it is my job to kind of go polar opposite of what people are saying. So go ahead, explain yourself, sir.
Well, I do think that you have some unexamined beliefs that could benefit from being deconstructed. But I think we can have a conversation about those another time. I think tonight the topic is about whether or not Trump is evil.
You can either explain it or you can enjoy your 5 minutes in the back without getting to say whatever it is you want to say. Truly.
Okay, so you were arguing. I mean, you could say you were just steel manning it, perhaps. But it certainly, I mean, from where I'm sitting, you were making an argument that we collect racialized data so that we can make assumptions about what demographics do certain crimes, right? Or like what demographics are likely to do certain crimes. And that just doesn't really follow. Like just because you have crime data doesn't mean you can assume something about someone who's part of that demographic. Just because you have data, just because you have evidence that some illegal immigrants did certain crimes doesn't mean you can blame any other illegal immigrant for those crimes. I think that's bigoted in general. Yeah.
Then why do we collect data?
To understand what's happening in the world.
Eli, I feel like you're there with me on this one.
Yeah.
Do you want to tap in on that one?
Well,
I mean, your assumptions just don't follow, right?
He's saying you can't use data to make a fallacy of composition.
Yeah.
If you're going to call somebody racist, you should be able to back it up.
I think I did. I think I demonstrated it perfectly fine. Thank you.
By saying that we collect data so that we can make educated guesses on what might likely happen. Isn't this why we use data to and statistics to say okay, if you're X, Y, and Z, here's a good chance of what might happen, and here's why. I mean, you use data all the time to back up your arguments.
For descriptive things, not for I mean, you can use data for predictive things, but understanding what someone's racial makeup is doesn't tell you whether or not they're going to commit a crime.
So when
Reddit coder.
Okay, so when Reddit feminists will say all women are victims and all women are always scared when a man walks into a room, and therefore we need to be super scared of men and we can't even go near them. and they hold prejudice towards men like prescriptively, that's like something that we say wouldn't be justified, even though men like typically commit more violence. We would say prejudice is always immoral, even if like a group like statistically commits more violence towards another group.
Is it prejudice or is it just educational? Oh,
That's where I want to hop in here and say, I mean, racism, at least the classical definition, it's changed over time, but it was the belief that one race is superior to another. You can point out that there are disproportionate data within certain groups or certain, neighborhoods without saying that I believe that I have a superiority to them. You're just pointing out a fact. And I think that, if we get scared of analyzing data out of fear of being
it depends on if you make the leap to make the fallacy of composition. If you look at that statistic and then say, hey, this high crime rate in black areas means that black people as a group are right.
And I'm not talking about making that jump per se. But
and for the record, racism is I mean, it's racialism is really what racism is rooted in, and it's the idea that the human population can even be deconstructed into these categories called races at a biological level, which is just factually wrong. Like race is not a real biological category. Hang on, race is not a real biological category that can be measured by any means. It's
let
just
me
made
ask you this, Ryan: if you were going to go buy a house, you have your darling little wifey and 2 kids, and you're ready to go buy a home, and you go and you look at this house and you're like, wow, it's a beautiful house for the right price. And then of course they give you all this data and these statistics, like in the crime rates, the school education. Typically you ask for that, and you should look into that, right? Because that's educating yourself on where you're about to live. And you look up and you say, wow, the crime rates in this area are horrific. Like they skyrocket, and it's just one after another, and you turn on the news and you start realizing, oh my God, everything I'm seeing on the news is coming from this neighborhood. Are you going to buy in that neighborhood? Are you going to be like, you know what, let's still buy the house?
Almost certainly not. But I mean, the reason for that would not be because of the race of those people. It would be because of the economic conditions likely that are causing those things in the area.
But are you using like a predictive measure that more than likely, if you move into that house, you might be a victim of a crime?
Yes, because that's perfectly reasonable. But it does. But none of that has to do with the race of the people involved, right?
I'm talking about pulling data and statistics of.
Yeah, you're doing a Mott and Bailey.
Well, I don't know what a Mott and Bailey
I think
is.
we're mistaking.
Well, so you're putting forth. Hang on, Eli. Let me explain my accusation. Right. So the Mott. Like you're putting out a position that is, oh, don't we use data to make predictions about things? And that's easy to agree with, right? We all agree, obviously, you can use data to make predictions, but the thing you're packaging and smuggling in and then trying to assert that I'm actually agreeing by accepting your initial claim is that therefore racial claims, like what we were making earlier, what was being described earlier, that's reasonable. It's reasonable to assume things about people's racial composition based on that data. But what I'm telling you is that it doesn't follow logically from that data. There's something intrinsic to any sort of race.
Why do we even track these statistics if we're not going to utilize them in particular fact? Not to be racist, right? I'm not saying
Minority Report.
Like, oh my God, I watched this data and it said, Asian people are more than likely to do this. So like, I don't want to be around any Asian people because of this statistic. I don't think that's what I'm referring to.
That doesn't always tell a story though, right? You would need to correlate it with all kinds of other things, which is why you come to find, like, look at any map of crime in any big city and then correlate that to the average rent for an apartment. And it's really easy to see. High crime areas correlate heavily to areas of poverty. Right.
And you can also put another sort of graph on top of it, and it can also tell another sort of story. But
and I want to point out,
and that story would tell you a history of white supremacy in the United States and redlining, pushing specific groups of people based on racial lines into specific neighborhoods, and you would find those people are way more likely to be poor. Those people are way more likely to be in those situations.
I want to jump in here and say one thing. This whole conversation coming from this quote from Trump about Mexican genes is actually taken way out of context, as they, tend to do with him.
I didn't even cite that quote.
I thought that was what was brought up. I thought that's literally
I don't know how this got brought up, frankly.
You said him saying that they have violence in their genes. You were talking about Trump saying that Mexicans have violent genes.
I was talking about Donald Trump appointing Stephen Miller to a senior advisor role.
No, I think you're going back on it because there
Yeah.
was the quote about Mexican having violent tendencies because of their genes. I didn't.
If
just
any of you guys
jump
want
into
to
that.
rewatch the fucking hour-long opening
Yeah.
statement I gave, I didn't bring up that quote a single.
I'm not talking
a single
about your
time.
opening statement. I'm talking about right before we came into this, and then that's
Uh-huh.
what the conversation. I mean, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty.
How would
sure
that conversation have come up?
You
By me bringing it up?
Oh, the
Yeah, I'll have-
YouTube
I'll have to go
the YouTube's
back
still there. We can just look at it.
Yeah, we could rewind. That quote never got brought up ever.
Okay, I'm gonna double check it, but just in case it does, he was talking about murderers having a genetic predisposition to violence, not Mexicans specifically. So
Does it really matter if you said it? Because I'm pretty sure you believe it.
Does
Wait,
it
what?
matter if I said the thing that you're attacking me for saying? Yes, that does.
No,
that
I-
matters.
I don't think
deal.
I came
It
up with
matters.
this out of thin air. I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'll see if I can find it.
You're essentializing me. I'm not.
Fair
You're
enough.
attacking a point that I never made. Like, why we opened up with a straw man? I never
Uh,
said any
And
of this.
also point out the irony of having the conversation about illegal immigrants committing crime, and while also talking about statistics and never mentioning the statistic that an illegal immigrant once in the United States commits crime at a rate far, far less than both legal immigrants and citizens.
True.
Just coming into the country.
That's
and
one of the
illegal crime or
tells.
not.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah,
Are we
cyber
talking
crime
about
is-
illegal immigrants that are?
Historically, it's been a civil offense, which it wasn't even illegal until like the 1920s. So,
Is it a crime?
how far
or is
back
it
do you want to
not?
go?
Who's
Being
who's-
here illegally is not a crime.
Michael? Is that
Entering
your
illegally
mic?
is, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Is it
I
bad?
think, yeah, I'm
Pretty
gonna
crazy.
put you back. Maybe you go because I see you've been kind of having issues back there all night. I'm gonna put you back.
Yeah.
Maybe go fix your stuff and then come back. I'm gonna bring up Scratch. Yeah, he's like swirling now.
Yes.
All right.
I'm left to
Let's
wonder
go.
if
Right.
this group who commits crimes at a far lower rate once they're in the country, having this kind of hyper focus on their criminality is nothing but a tell to me. Like that's my assertion.
Yep,
Like
when
it's
you look at
it's a
the
tell that you guys are like on this point so hard when this is a group who commits crimes at lower rates.
Yeah, we can look at the PNAS study, the Stanford study, and the Cadence study, which all basically came to the same conclusion, which said illegal immigrants commit like far less crime than native citizens do.
Hey, listen, I would love an engagement on any
Would
of
you like
the
to
points
speak
that I
to
brought
this?
up in the beginning.
Yeah.
I
So
really
I
love
actually,
it.
I mean, I didn't mean to trigger you, Sarah. Like, I look,
That
I'm,
wasn't
you're
a
a friend of mine.
trigger. The chat said it.
Okay,
The chat
okay,
said.
fair enough. Yeah.
See,
That's true.
you're not
That's
even.
true. I didn't mean to
paying
trigger the chat.
Yeah, buddy,
I
you're
got
right,
the
you're right.
quote
I
from you
apologize
right
for that.
here.
I
So-
think you need to come up with something a little stronger than the fact that I just said, why do we collect data then? If we're not like, what are we using it for? Why even collect it? If race is not the defining factor, right? And you know, I'm all for people like shitty people are just shitty people. And why the fuck do we collect this data? Why do we care?
Well, I'm not of the opinion that like people are like do crimes just because they're inherently like shitty people. I think there are likely other conditions that are inspiring people to commit crimes, and like opportunity, and the kinds of circumstances they grow up in, and many other millions of other things that we could dive into.
Ryan.
But I was just simply making the allegation that if you are assuming that the main reason we collect that data is so that we can make assumptions about people that are not part of that data set, right? People who are their only relation to that data set is their race, then that is racist. Now, maybe you weren't making that claim, in which case I would retract my statement, right? But it did feel like that was the implication of what you were saying.
Ryan, I just want to say to you that people aren't just blank slates. There is certain genetic
I don't think so either. Thanks, Evan.
predispositions that are put into it, and certain environments can go and cause epigenetic changes that cannot be undone. And I think that a certain level of aggressiveness that could be associated
Well,
with.
are you arguing?
So Evan is like a race realist guy, which makes sense
True.
because which is surprising considering he thinks he would be part of the superior race. When I mean, seriously, look at him. But that's besides the point.
Hey, I
Hey,
just found
Rinyal, do
Yeah,
you want
like
to
that.
see the quote of you saying that quote? From
Yes,
Trump?
I would really love to. Yeah.
Okay, I hope that my mic can pick it up. But let's go.
Stephen Miller, like,
Can you guys hear this?
Mhm.
refugees
Yep.
being the death of the white world.
All right, wait
and
for it.
writing- And referencing a book that has a whole scene about like,
Referencing a
putting
book.
white woman to death, kind of playing on the idea that like these brown people are a threat to the white women.
Here it
I
comes.
think that may speak a little bit to racism, or saying that it's in Mexican people's genes to be more violent. It's a little racist.
Or saying
So,
it's in
do you
Mexican
recall-
people's genes to be more violent. That's
do
the
you
quote from
recall
Trump that
the-
was taken out of
do
context.
Do you recall the name that I said right at the beginning of the clip that you played into the microphone?
Yeah, you said Donald Trump.
He's talking about Stephen
He
Miller.
said Stephen Miller. Are you deaf? I said,
He said
Stephen
Stephen
Miller
Miller.
right at the beginning of
Well,
the clip that you just played.
okay, hold on.
Can
The
go back, you said
context.
Trump.
Hold on. The context was that Donald Trump brought on Stephen Miller, and then he started going into what Stephen Miller.
Okay, fair enough. Hey,
represents.
I'll bite the bullet if I'm wrong on that,
reframed
but
it.
you know,
Yeah, true.
okay,
But the quote's
Gotcha.
still there. You had that.
yeah,
that's true.
Anyway,
I
wanted
wanted
come
to
in
challenge
and cut,
Ringgold.
so-
Believe it or not, I actually
was
hold
getting
on,
it from. so.
Hold on. I wanted to ask, who did say it? Did Trump say the jeans thing, or did Stephen Miller say the jeans thing?
It was Stephen Miller telling a Breitbart article or article publicist to make reference to that book that was peddling that theory that refugees were going to come in and replace all of the white world with their brown genes.
Right. It's also explicit in the phrase "poisoning the blood" whenever you say something like
Which
that.
has it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, is there an actual like a quote that you're using from Miller about Mexican people's genes being violent?
No, it was.
I submit to you Stephen Miller's entire life.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
right.
him
So what
telling.
you were-
It was him
so in that-
telling. Yeah, Eli. It was him telling a Breitbart publicist to make reference to how we are turning into this book that's making that claim.
Okay.
But then you also are saying, like, the implication, I believe, and maybe this is where Eli's trying to go. The implication would be that Trump is evil because he brought this man, Stephen Miller, into the cabinet, which you're like completely barfunkled by. And then you're quoting what Stephen Miller's saying. And so thus, in turn, because Stephen Miller said these really crazy things, referring to what Eli was saying, then that kind of is a dual representation of Trump still in and of itself, correct?
I mean, and the fact that he has this person writing speeches for him, and the fact that he's having this person dictate all of his immigration policy, yeah, that's.
Okay.
So then
look, sorry. I want to be
Shit,
fair. If
expand
he
it out to
wasn't
everyone
referring
he's
to the
brought in.
quote that I was saying was debunked, then
Right.
fair enough. You weren't referring to that quote, but I did want to bring up that quote, which is very similar to what you were saying, was debunked. But you know, it's kind of just
Appreciate
semantics. So yeah.
So
All right.
I actually want to challenge
think
Ringgold.
I have
don't
one that
I-
everyone can agree on, though. Here's my if Trump is evil. If Katie Johnson's deposition is true, Trump is evil.
True.
Well, I think so. Let me ask you a few questions, Rinald. So, like, Trump
Well,
is evil.
I would let
If-
Radical.
Run away!
I would let Ryan go real quick first because he's been trying to get in for a long
Oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah, I want to challenge because I actually don't agree with the premise necessarily. I mean, I think that Trump does some evil things, but I think the framing here is what I have a real problem with. I think liberals do this a lot. As someone who's like left of many liberals, I think that we have as progressives, we have a better view of how this actually works. And I think that liberals they kind of cope and point to I agree that Orange Man is bad, but I don't think it's like all this stuff is happening just because we got a bad guy in office, right? Like Trump is very much incentivized to engage in the behaviors that he's doing. He is in many ways the ultimate liberal, the ultimate individualist, the ultimate person who seeks out only for his own benefit, right? And our liberal structures in our government, they allow for this and in fact encourage it. They incentivize all of his behaviors. He's not actively breaking the laws, right? Not necessarily. In some
Yes,
cases
he
he is. But hang on. In some
the whole
cases he is.
point.
But for the most part, what he's actually doing is playing with the absolute edges of our constitutional barriers, right? And that is working within the legal framework and trying to bend and break it, bend it primarily to his own personal gain. And so, what I would challenge you is what roadblocks would you put in place to prevent somebody just doing this, or somebody more actually evil and not just like stupid and charismatic and self-interested, someone actually evil? Like, what would we do to actually prevent someone like that from doing these things in the future?
All the
No
roadblocks
more
are in place. It's
norms.
just that no one is enforcing
No more
them. Like,
norms. Just write laws.
SCOTUS
I
shot
have
him.
a question,
SCOTUS shot him
though.
down twice.
If-
SCOTUS shot him down twice. All of the challenges of the Eastman memo got struck down by the courts. Like this is the problem is that he's breaking the norms and he's breaking the laws.
Well,
That's
he followed
that's
he
whole point.
brought
The
back
liberal
Abrego
structure is
Garcia,
not
right?
Allowing. To
He brought back
Abrego,
Abrego. What other what else is he currently defying right now?
currently defying is separate than an already defied thing. Like if he broke the law, it doesn't matter if he's still currently breaking the law. The liberal system did not allow for that breaking of the law.
There's only one thing that fixes the imperial presidency. There's only one thing, and it's the hardest fucking thing in this country to fix. We have to have a competent Congress that does its job.
Ooh.
And it's the hardest fucking thing. because that means we have to get hundreds of people to be competent at the same time.
Rude Mud Crab wanted a 1v1 with Ryan on low-key racist. How I'm gonna put this one in my back pocket for a little bit. I still don't think Ryan has really backed up his claim.
I think I very clearly outlined why I said that, right? If you are gonna say that you were just doing devil's advocate thing that you do, which I understand you to do, right? If you're just gonna say that's all you were doing with that implication there, then that's fair enough. And like I said, I'll retract that. But if you are asserting that the reason we collect that racial data is so that we can make assumptions about people who the only way they're related to that data is by having the same race as the people classified in that data, I would absolutely assert that is a racist claim.
Say that last part again.
So if you're saying that the reason we collect that data, right, race-based crime data, is so that we can then make assumptions about other people of that race who are not who the only relation they have to those people doing the crimes is their race. If you're saying we can make assumptions about them because of that race data, I would say that's racist.
Yeah, I mean, that's not quite the direction. I think it's more like we utilize the information like to make like
well, is it sexist to make assumptions on gender based on sex data?
Yeah, it is literally.
Yeah, generally.
Like quite literally. So, like, I guess my question is, what prescriptions would you make for white people interacting with black people?
I don't give prescription. Did I give a prescription?
Well, you're saying we're going to utilize this data in our
don't we utilize all of this data and information?
Yeah, so like
for
what prescriptions you're going to make? Like what prescriptions would you make? Like this isn't
crazy liberal. I think that's something that should be done between the races. Is I don't think one race should go and call another race a certain slur. I think that's not good for civilized society. I think that is societally enforced.
Cracker mode activated.
This is a low resolution conversation. I mean, if you jump off a bridge and you fall and die, do we need to write a prescription about it? You just observe reality and behave accordingly. Why give it a label? Goddamn.
You would have to prove gravity.
Would they use that towards funding?
Yeah, gravity works.
Would they use that type of stuff towards different types of funding or like in a government setting? Don't they do that?
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. I just want to
funding based off of data and like who needs it more, who doesn't need it more,
yeah,
like so on and so forth.
Then in that case, the prescription would be these people are like more disadvantaged.
I didn't boot him.
Disappear into the.
Oh, okay. I thought you did. I was like, what's wrong with that answer?
Probably bad.
That was reasonable. I don't know if he like hit a button or what. I don't know.
Sarah booted him because he's black.
Like I'm sitting here with my hands back. He's back. He popped back on. There we go. All right, there you go. You're back.
What happened?
we don't know. I was like, "Fuck this guy." Go ahead, though.
So, like, I think I can square what you're saying, Sarah. So, in a sense, in the same sense that it's okay to like target policing in areas that may be high crime that correlate to like a certain kind of race. That is what you're talking about. At the same time, it is the fallacy of it is assuming that correlation implies causation. That because those people are that group, they are causing the criminality themselves, right? Because of what they are,
or their race. The thing about them that's causing it is their race, not like other conditions, right?
No, I think we look at other I think it's like a matter of a lot of demographics. Like 90% of people on this street in this city typically don't do well, right? And here's why. Here's the data. And here's like they're poverty stricken. They have single mother homes, or they're low education. They're all of these demographics, and then you just so happen to have that other piece of information that is their race, and it's just jived in with all of it. So why do we even add that to the list of data collected if we don't want that information being utilized in a presumptive prejudice way?
Well, you can use it to understand like what people are in those conditions in the first place, right? Like you just described a whole bunch of things that do apply to Black people broadly in the United States, right? Like you just described a bunch of things that they are disproportionately in situations like that. And there's a reason for that, right? There's a long history of laws and legal structures that were in place specifically that caused that. Like, and so if you look back, and if you look at that data, then you can understand what's going on there. If you have those priors, like you understand that those legal structures were in place. But if you tried to institute laws, for example, that made it illegal or a crime or just like banned teaching of those sorts of historical structures, like people banning critical race theory, for example, then you might find that people grow up not understanding that historical context, and then they just assume that there's something wrong with Black people.
Is anybody else understanding what I'm saying? Am I like retarded?
No, I'm with you. I think the difference is that Ryan's wanting to make sure that you're not saying that we take this data and form a like say Black people have a biological imperative to these things on account of their, being Black. What I'm saying is I'm with you, Sarah, that we take the demographics, the data, and then we can actually make judgment calls on what's going on. Like you said, fatherlessness, high crime. I think it's, not as much of a race thing as it is a cultural thing, right? Ryan would disagree that it has to do with, systemic white supremacy. And that's where the debate would happen. But I don't think anybody's saying that, well, we look at this data that, inner city Black families are going to have a higher crime rate, so they must have a biological imperative to set crime rate.
I wish that was I wish people weren't saying that.
I really just wonder its relevance. That's all I'm
wondering. Intentional ignoring that the correlation of it happening at the same time the war on drugs was kicked in. That's the problem.
And Rinald, I do apologizing for stealing your limelight, but you don't just get to come on here and say Sarah's low key racist and two people have super chatted in regards to it in order to I think you can. Okay, so
I apologize, Rinald.
This one thing, right, is what you're saying is the defense of you saying Sarah's low key racist. I'm gonna need a little more information than that.
Well, like I said, if you're not making the claim that we can use that data to make assumptions about people based on race, then I've said this 3 times now, I will retract that. If that's not the implication of what you were saying, then I apologize. But if that is what you meant, then that is a racist claim.
Well, hold on. Are you making you're taking one thing I'm saying and then you're making a very big judgment call on one phrase? I think that's like a really strong thing to say to somebody and imply that somebody's a racist, because that can, that could be very slanderous in a lot of ways. If you said that and you stood by it because I brought up data and facts and asked, why do we collect it then? And you went around saying Sarah is racist. I think that's a pretty and I say this only because, Ryan, I have a very open door policy to a lot of different people to my panels, and to even imply that I would be racist would kind of go against the entirety of my entire show, who I am, what I represent, and I feel like my kindness around the world to all sorts of different people. You're kind of digging in the wrong hole there.
Well, I mean, you could say that, or you could, like I said initially, you could interpret what I'm saying as you have some racial biases that you need to deconstruct, and some understandings of racism that are of race and bias that you haven't really deeply examined. And that doesn't mean that you're going to ban Black people from your panels. It doesn't mean you're not going to be nice to Black people, right? Those aren't the signs of any sort of fundamental racist ideals, right? I think most white people in America, if we grow up in America, we have some racist ideas in our
he just thinks you would benefit from a re-education camp. That's all.
I mean, that's obviously not what I'm saying. But I do think it's worth examining. And I don't think it's I think people take it as a condemnation of your character or whatever. And I think you are taking it in that way, and that's absolutely not what I'm trying to do. I don't think
people who earn the title
the chat
racist
was more defensive. I didn't even really pick up on it necessarily, but the chat called it out. But I think that's quite a big word to use against somebody based on them talking about data.
Well, I mean, I think if you're using the data to make or to imply what I was saying, then it would be an accurate term.
Did I specifically say, did I say something that was racist?
The implication you made was, kind of racist.
To imply that why do we collect data?
No.
Why do we collect data?
And the way you were asking it.
So
Only
it's,
thing I'm gonna say is the
about
only person who's been
articulate-
punished here is a black person. It's a very microaggressive towards me, but
True.
Both, by the way.
True.
Well, he interrupted the badass intro that we all enjoy, and like, if look at it this way, here's what, look at it this way: if you're just joking, but if you were a guest on somebody's show and they were playing an intro video and you like unmuted yourself and started blabbering, like, doesn't that ruin the movie? It's like talking during a movie in the movie theater. It's very rude.
I agree. You should punish
Like,
cringy.
everybody else, and I see everybody else backstage like jamming out, and then there's
That
this.
would help you
What the fuck
stereotype
kind of
Sarah.
intro is this? Blah blah blah. Who the fuck does that?
Look, that was that actually. Wait, I want to be clear.
Good
here.
job.
I want to be clear. That actually wasn't me. Hello, I'm Scratch. This is my twin
You
brother.
were the
We're
only
cringe-
one that
Nope,
was
that's not your
unmuted.
twin
Point
brother.
the other way, bitch.
It was
Wait,
cringy
actually,
leftist.
it's mirrored.
So there are more
No,
donations coming in now, officially booting me.
Oh,
so I
you
think
guys
it's,
are twins?
Yep.
I'm going to be in the back.
I was
but
thinking you looked like it. Okay, cool.
I just
Whoa,
want
I
to say,
don't
like,
look
to be
like it.
clear, I don't think describing like some specific statement as kind of racist is like a condemnation of your character. I really don't. I think a lot of people are offended on your behalf right now, and I understand why you're being why you're investigating the claim and why you're interrogating me about it. I think it's fair, right? Like, you view this as a slight, and it was a bit of a jab.
Let me say it
I don't
this
think it
way.
makes you
Let me
evil.
say it this way. Prior to this moment, was there anything else in our entire history that you've known me? Like, it's been over 3 years now? Has there been anything else that made you think Sarah's a fucking racist?
Sarah's a fucking racist? No, but I would say there is a pattern of very minor microaggressions that we could dig into, right?
Shit.
But I mean, people are really triggered by that phrase too.
Oh,
So
you're
it's
triggering me now. You're triggering me now.
By the
Oh
way,
my
this
God.
is why liberalism.
people are very soft. People are really triggered by like simple
Wow.
words, like simple claims, and I think
it's not-
like it's not my
okay,
fault. People are so soft. Like, I'm willing to have
I
hard
mean,
conversations. I come here and
stop.
have those conversations
Stop,
with you.
stop, Brian. It's not soft. It's you're
It is.
implying something that you yourself agree is very bad.
Yeah.
Even Ringyald is making the claim that, due to Trump is evil because this is like racist behavior.
And I can disagree about
white
the evil claim.
nationalists,
That's
To be
not
this whole
completely
thing.
fair, your
okay.
chat started whining about him calling you racist right after they were there arguing. Why is it wrong to be a white nationalist? Haven't you heard about
Literally,
that?
yeah, like
Look, I've said it multiple times. I don't think Trump is racist. Trump is absolutely xenophobic, though. We had with the whole Trump University case. We literally had him saying the ruling was bad because the judge was Mexican. I think that's an absolute fact. And if you talk to Trump supporters, you'll see this all the time. I have Mexican Canadian friends who get kicked off of TikTok lives because, like, oh, you're not American, you can't talk about this. And I think that's a very common thing among Trump and his
I
Uh,
supporters.
think
Yeah,
xenophobia is something good for the president of a democracy where they have to care about the citizens of that nation. So to go and help the
What?
people that voted you
That's not how
in
xenophobia
is a
works.
sign of a good leader.
Is there a difference between prioritizing citizens and hating people who are non-citizens?
I think that from the outsider, they would see it as hatred, when in the inside, it's just showing the preference of those who are already here. And the thing is that you can choose to become a citizen given enough time or resources.
Wait.
But that's something
Evan,
that anyone
Evan,
can
you don't-
Internally,
I
we
mean,
see
I
the
wanna be-
hatred.
I want to be very
Relations
clear here.
with your neighbors
the judge
helps your citizens.
had Mexican heritage, but was a U.S. citizen. It was just xenophobia. He didn't make a claim like based on the merit of the actual case. He just said the judge is Mexican, therefore the ruling's bad.
I mean, maybe we could get into some of the real substance. So, like, do you think it speaks to that at all when Donald Trump signs an order, a proclamation of the Alien Enemies Act to remove Venezuelans a part of Tren de Aragua, and then he never gives them the ability to challenge whether or not they're a part of Tren de Aragua?
Isn't
No,
that Venezuela?
I'd say right
sort
now
of?
we have exceptional
No.
circumstances of people going and exploiting the amnesty program. So I think
Okay.
that with all the bad actors that have went in and exploited something they weren't supposed to exploit, that them going and getting unfair treatment because they did something unfair is overall just.
Well,
In the-
Trump giving them unconstitutional treatment because they followed the law as it's written, and you perceive it as a loophole, right?
Right.
I don't know if it's legal that Trump's doing it right now. If the courts agreed with it,
Nope,
and
they didn't.
he isn't
Nope.
being stopped, then I don't know.
He
That
was.
seems legitimate in my eyes.
All of the conditions you just gave were false. It was illegal. It was ruled as illegal, and the court stopped it.
All right, let me read a couple super chats and you guys can kick back over to it. I apologize. I was a little focused on what was going on and I missed a lot of these. Mr. Bill says 5 more. When did illegal immigrants become a race? Anybody have a question or answer to that? Are we booting?
I think that was the point of
yesterday.
the xenophobia comment, was it not? Like
Yeah,
because
I
it was
just-
just a
oh, yeah, I
hatred
didn't-
of
I
foreigners.
Yeah, I didn't say that there's a race. I said xenophobia. I don't. I'm
No,
not
well, this came in
describing a race.
earlier. This came in significantly earlier.
Yeah, I think the
it
conversation
was-
in the chat was
Yeah.
someone referencing the makeup of the country and saying that there were too many illegals in the makeup of the country. And then somebody clapped back with, when did illegals immigrant become a race?
Fair enough. Nuke says, give me all your data. I need it for a project. Fair enough, Nuke. William says, you can make assumptions based on the data. I mean, insurance companies do this with men and women. Now you cannot make conclusions based on. I think I have a cheaper insurance rate than the same man that's my age. I think I also have a cheaper insurance rate compared to a 21-year-old female as well. Is that ageism and sexism both on?
By the way,
on
two
this?
people on the panel said yes, that is sexist. So
Yes.
And just look, I'm saying the
And-
world
and
ID.
it's
I
retarded.
agree with Sarah here.
And
The
it's
world
just
ID
retarded.
exists for a reason. Okay.
True.
True.
And now, does that mean I'm a better driver than a 21-year-old male per se?
No. No.
No, I think it's
use
just
that-
based on your record.
No, the insurance companies utilize data. If once you hit 25, your insurance rate
Yeah.
drops dramatically.
That's true.
You know what I mean. So if you're a female, you get a little bit of a cheaper rate. It's like so on and so forth. All of these things apply.
Which is funny because everything says that, or everybody says that women are worse drivers. It's just a joke that everybody says.
But yet we don't do dumb shit now, do we, Weevil?
No, I mean I'm a
Do
little
the
bit
dumb
of a
shit
nerd,
that
but I'm
causes
not
the
gonna
accident.
crash into something.
Am I low key sexist?
Yeah,
Hey,
Well, no, it's a
maybe
great
I
point.
am too.
Hey,
I don't know.
much like illegal
If anyone-
immigration, it's a story they tell themselves.
If you have to add if you have to add low key, they're just being chicken shit. Just come out and call me racist.
Look, I'm saying,
Yeah,
like,
call,
statistics exist for a
call
reason,
me.
right?
Yeah, at least own it. At least own it. I'm a little surprised. Especially like Ryan knows a lot about me, and like we've been cool for several years now. I'm very disheartened. I'm very
I wanted
disheartened.
to say
that he
something on
would
that,
even
like-
say that. Yeah, go ahead.
I kind of understood you. Like when people racial profile, it's not just about the racial. It's like, say cops are in pursuit with a suspect. Are you going to say it's just a man or it's just a woman? They always say the race, like it's a white man or black man. And if you're in a neighborhood with more black folk or white folk, they're going to say your race. And whatever it comes down
That's
to.
about identification, though.
Yeah, they'll also say the make of your car.
Yeah, exactly. It's about
Well-
it's just everything. It's not just about the race of it at all. It's just I think he was just wanting to call you a racist without calling you a racist.
I'll tell you what.
Let me pause at this question real quick. Real quick, I just want to throw this out. So if NBA scouts go out and they are looking for people to join the team, and they have an assumption that there's going to be black students that have a higher rate of athleticism and a higher, stature and height, and they go to schools that are predominantly black to find that, are they being racist by doing that?
It depends. I mean, if the best players are in a majority black college, it's not racist. If the
Well,
best
yeah, but
players
what
are in
if
a
they're
majority
going-
white college and they're still going to the black
No,
college,
Well, no,
then
no.
yes,
Hang on,
if
Eli.
they're
Eli,
using
hang on.
data-
Did they use no other data at all? But they were just like, hey, we have no data, and we're going to pick between these high
Oh, let's say
schools.
they
and
use data.
All we
Let's say
know,
they use-
all we know is that this is a white school and this is a black school. In that ridiculous hypothetical, yes.
Well,
you
do you
Yeah.
think?
That'd
Do
be
you
that'd be
think
prejudice.
that?
That would be racist.
Hold on. Do you think the NBA drafts people, right, or recruiters or whatever, Do you think they're gonna go to the white school first, or do you think they're gonna go to the black schools?
They're going to read a stat line before they look at
I
any
think
kind of
they're
school.
going to go to the school with the
Yeah, they're
highest
gonna look at stat
ratings
lines.
and the highest academic.
No.
Can
I
someone
think
tell me
they're
the-
gonna go to
can
the
someone
black
tell me-
school. I'll say.
someone-
I know your
I'll
name
give it-
until they
I'm
sing
glad
your
that
numbers first.
Maggie
man.
By the way,
here,
can somebody
conservatives-
tell me? Can somebody tell me the best player in the NBA last season?
LeBron? Was it LeBron James?
Nope, it was Nikola Jokic, who is
I
like a
don't know who that
fucking
is.
big fat Serbian Slav. He's like the whitest guy in the world. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you're still making those kind of assumptions, you might be a little racist. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
the
we
Slavs
see
are the best
LeBron.
basketball
We see
player.
LeBron's name, and he like they call him the king, right? We see his name
Mhm.
everywhere. He's all over that's the influence portion that comes out to where you only see what they want to deliver to you on who the best is. But I don't follow sports at all. I just happen to see LeBron James everywhere.
Yeah,
don't-
I'm just.
well,
I'm
Also,
throwing
can I
it
just
out.
I just need to jump in on that because if you're going to make an argument about like race and statistics and all of these correlations, the number one rule is it's not reduced down to the individual. There are going to be
Right.
individual exceptions. That is like the most common thing that is drilled in is the vast majority is going to be what it is. The average is going to be the average. The fact that you're going to pull out some random exception like Yao Ming for
Number
Asian
one
height
player in the
is
league, by the way.
it's exactly
But also keep
is
in mind,
exactly what it is. It's an exception.
keep in mind as well.
It's not
that
the rule.
NBA scouts aren't going to go to a college and say like, "Oh, well, I know there's a lot of blacks there," and that's going to be the only reason that they go to scout at that school. That's
Right,
not.
sure.
That's
When
not
it,
what
I'm
scouters
sorry.
do.
When it comes
It
to like
was a hypothetical, but
when it
anyway.
comes to like interpersonal relationships and like how you interpersonally function within society, at almost no point in time is like being prejudiced towards any group of people or persons is like okay, like that's immoral. Like when it comes to like broader policy making levels or like maybe more macro decisions, like you might be able to justify some amount of prejudice or sexism or racism or whatever. But like when it comes to like interpersonal relationships or interpersonal actions, it's like almost never justified.
Right, and that's where I said because
Yeah.
one of you asked what would I prescribe, and I'd say, well, the government would give particular funding to certain areas. They would, have very specific things in place, and like let's say I know a community is impoverished and they have a high crime rate and all of these issues, and they just so happen to be a Black community, right? I'm not going to send like something like I wouldn't do the same thing with them that I would do with some podunk nowhere in the country folk redneck hickory doodah cowboy town, right? Because they have two very different cultures that would be cultivated best in different scenarios based on data and statistics, and we know that, right? We know how people engage and interact and what they want, what they don't want, what they want to do, so on and so forth, right? So if I were coming at it from a government standpoint, I wouldn't send like certain things into certain directions, just assuming it's going to be the best case scenario.
I'll tell you what, my
Fringy
opening
was
statement
not
must
good.
have
Or
been
just
really
a-
fucking good
Kinda
for the
lost me
whole
at the
panel
end,
to be
I have
about
to
if
admit.
Sarah is racist. I think my
True.
opening panel was really fucking
I love
good.
it.
Base, I agree. Look, Evan, I'm promoting a black empathy, right? Just like cringy here, but personally, I came here to shit on Trump. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
All right, fair enough. Let's get
You're
back
promoting
to
a
the
what? What was that?
He's joking. He's
Who said
lying.
that?
He's
Oh,
trolling.
okay,
Don't
okay.
fight.
I
Don't
was
fight.
like, whoa. What the hell?
Michael says, amazing. Ryan has no idea how politics works. Ryan explained the 14th Amendment without line. And when I do decide after this long line of people back here to bring Ryan back up, I feel like he needs to sit in the dunce cap for a little longer on that one. But when he comes back up, somebody remind me to ask that question. William says, question, should I disregard race when diagnosing conditions that may be more prevalent among certain demographics? William, you are a very intelligent man. Can somebody explain that to me, how prescriptively that would be bad?
I thought a sign of intelligence was staying on subject, but okay.
Oof.
Oh, what?
Christ.
I didn't
It
hear
was on that super chat was on subject because the whole subject has been whether or not Sarah is racist or not.
We're here to talk about if Trump is evil.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's a racist factor built into that, right? With
Partially.
with the like
Minorly.
Minorly, yeah.
Stephen Miller.
With Stephen Miller, yeah.
Yeah,
The
that
open
but
white fascists running around. Yes.
also with sending the folks down to was it El
To El Salvador. Yeah, but that wasn't on
Salvador.
racial grounds. That was
Well,
just my concern was a due process violation.
You-
That
you-
had nothing to do with
the
the
actual
racial.
the actual
But-
racist argument for that is like if they weren't actually giving these people due process and these people haven't been convicted of any crimes, like by what process are they picking out people to send over to these El Salvadorian prison camps, and why do they all happen to be Hispanic men?
There you go.
I think
Well,
that's
to be
useful.
fair, the Alien Enemies Act was signed on behalf of them being Venezuelan. So all of the people who we sent over, unless it wasn't under the AEA, were Venezuelans. But that was a legal order.
Well, Rinyal, does the Supreme Court say that
me also just
illegal
really
immigrants
quickly,
are to have the same due process that citizens have?
Nope.
Yes.
Exactly. So
You have the same due
But
process.
they do have
have
no
any. They have
process.
any at all.
It says
They have
all people have due process.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
but
have
it's
due
not.
process
But
at all.
yeah, but your complaint is based off them not having the same kind as
No,
citizens.
The Constitution is very clear when it says people and very clear when it says citizens.
Yeah, my
When it says
complaint.
people, it means every human being touching soil in the United States.
My complaint
Right,
wasn't
but-
that they don't have the same process as citizens are being afforded. My complaint is that they're not being afforded the process that they're legally afforded under the Alien Enemies Act.
Oh, so you think that the judges in these situations are bypassing this thing that they're supposed to be afforded?
Well, first
they're
of
not
all,
even- they're not even
the
being
Alien
put before
Enemies Act
judges.
is not even supposed to be used unless we are under an actual invasion.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Not
But
this
also,
fake racist invasion that everyone is fucking talking about. Because we're not doing any kind of invasion.
the problem isn't that there's biased judges. The problem is that there's no judges. They're saying that they're going to be put before an immigration judge, and then they just never do and put them on a plane and fly them out. That's the problem.
And these people never saw an immigration judge at any point during their being deemed illegal in the country?
Not between them, not between the signing of the Alien Enemies Act and them being deported. No.
Oh, you know that for every case? That none of these
For-
people ever at any time saw an immigration judge? Or
It's
did
not-
they just not?
It's not a matter of never seeing an immigration judge. Some people can be.
But that's the
illegally
claim you
fe-
just made.
No,
Yeah.
it's not never.
Oh, looks
it's
like
it's
a-
that,
looks like
that they didn't
radical
get the ability.
coder.
Hold on, Scratch, please. No, don't derail. Okay. The point is that you're deportable under a piece of legislation depending on what the legislation is. So if you sign the Alien Enemies Act, you're only deportable under the Alien Enemies Act, given that you meet all of the qualifications to be deportable under the Alien Enemies Act. But being deportable under the Alien Enemies Act is a more specific thing than being deportable in general. Because if you're deportable in general, you have a lot more rights than you're afforded under the Alien Enemies Act. So if they said you're an alien enemy, so we can deport you expeditedly within a couple days, and they don't get the ability to challenge whether or not they're an alien enemy, then that further expedites their process. So if you didn't get to see a judge between that, then that is a really big deal. And SCOTUS agreed with me. And JGG versus Trump and WMM versus Trump.
Okay, so what I've just learned is that the system is broken. If someone who is illegal without papers comes to the border, if it is illegal or improper for us to simply, with a gun, turn them back the other direction, that it's illegal for us to do so, that's a broken system. That's not proper immigration. That's not a border.
No,
That's also
I know,
not.
I don't care.
That's
I
also not the system.
don't care
what happened.
what your ideal is.
I'm not talking
If
about an
if you
ideal.
cannot turn someone away from the border after having crossed without papers, then I'm sorry. The
You guys
system
are
is
losing
broken.
your minds
Believe it or
mostly
not-
over people who came here legally. The asylum
yeah, hold
system
on.
was a legal process.
Also, you can, what you're describing, we can't do is, first of all, not what I'm talking about. And second of all, we can do. It's called expedited process. And you can remove people within a certain mile vicinity of the
I think it's
border
25.
with no due process. Yeah, that's or without a chance to hear that. So what you're complaining about, the system being broken on, is something that we actually can do, but it's unrelated to what Donald Trump is doing right now.
All right. Rude
So-
Mudcrab says if the gender with the highest testosterone is prone to more aggression and crime, would it not also track against race? I could be trolling, maybe, but this is still science and data, and we utilize it to create specific things. I mean, it's all over the place. Like, why do we track so much data if we can't use it or don't want to use it or we're afraid to use it? I don't know. And I do believe there are always exceptions to every rule, but the general statements are typically what we speak in.
Is it not odd
Sarah.
how? Is it not
Yeah.
odd? Oh,
Just I think like the whole system is just a relic of when America used to be a majority white nation, where some of these minor like things could be more useful in explaining like in certain areas, because some of those crimes could just be exclusive to those types of people during that time. Like, for example, like the Italians with the mob and what have you, and how the local communities tend to go and protect them because they also had a mutual beneficial with the organized crime. But
So,
I wish I
is
could go
it
to the
just
debate,
huh?
open
Is it
statement and just like have the opponents talk about something else all the time.
okay? Well, is it just me, or is it not odd how the majority of Fortune 500 companies are controlled
Stop.
by one ethnic group?
No.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
go
the
agree.
Irish. The Irish
That's-
control everything.
Cringy, you can't
The
do
Irish
that
and
here
the
because they'll
Scottish.
agree with you.
Oh no! Oh no!
I mean, I don't know what to tell you there. It is what it is, right?
Oh no!
Well, getting back to the, is Trump
Does that
evil
make it
thing,
wrong?
no.
Does it make it? Sorry, does that make it wrong? Is it bad?
Well, no, it
Tell
explains
me
the
why-
flailing like by a lot of people though, because things are changing in America, and a lot of people don't like it, and that's really the heart of the whole thing: is that things are changing. People don't like. We are becoming a more and more multi-ethnic country. The largest demographic group that, or not the largest, but the quickest growing demographic group is people with multi-ethnicities. Like that's our largest group, and that's what America is going to be made up. And there's some people who do not fucking like that idea.
I thought
There
the
were people.
whole point.
There were people at the beginning of the 1900s who didn't like that idea for white people. I come from a demographic of people who are physically white, and we weren't considered white until the late 1900s. So, like, this is it's just happening again, and people are fighting it just like they did last time.
I thought the whole point of like desegregation was that groups couldn't go together to go and strengthen their group at the expense of all others. So if minority groups can go ahead and do that to go and promote their own like individual cultures and populations, I think it's like a bit hypocritical with like the whole things that were fought in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s to go and just remove that for like the greater American culture. Or like with the
greater
all those things we succeeded over in the 60s that you guys are trying to destroy.
Wait, I wonder. Wait, is jazz
like
a greater
Irish.
American culture? Part of greater American culture? Just real quick, Evan.
I would say that it was something that was appreciated by everyone, but I'd say that most of it was created and was done the best by specifically the American blacks.
Okay,
I think that
you familiar with Frank Sinatra?
Yes, the
Oh, okay.
yeah, the Italian.
You familiar with Chet Baker?
No.
No, very famous trumpet and vocalist who's white. Okay, so just be clear here, like white people are very involved in jazz during the 1960s and going forward. Jazz is an American staple that originated from the black community, from black people, and now everybody in America shares, including white people.
I would say like Frank Sinatra, like some of it was big band, but I wouldn't call that strictly jazz. But I do agree there is some mixing between the two. But yeah, I can. See that.
I think it's funny. When I was getting ready to do this topic, a lot of people were warning me, like, "Oh, make sure you know your meta-ethical groundings because a lot of people are just going to quiz you on what evil is." And I didn't realize that I wouldn't need to do any of that because it would end up divulging into a fucking race realism debate. What is
I was gonna get there, but
Don't worry, Andrew's not here, so.
Okay,
you don't
so
have
actually,
to
here's the.
back down.
Do you guys think Trump's mass deportation efforts are justified?
Hey, I've got a question for the right wingers in that same vein of his master deportation. If I hurt your children to stop people like you from doing something, would I be evil?
Say that again.
Yeah.
If I hurt your children to stop people like you from doing something, would I be evil?
From doing something what?
Like, yeah, what?
Crossing a border.
The
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
matters.
Yeah, you're hurting
I wouldn't say
children
so.
for the sins of their parents. Yeah, that'd be evil.
All
Or
right, cool.
punishing
Then we agree.
children.
Trump is evil.
Nope, that's
Mm,
retarded.
no,
You just agreed with me.
Hypothetical
You just agreed with me.
evidence.
Can I ask
You just
something
agreed
else?
with me.
Can I ask
Agree.
something
No, you
else?
didn't talk
If-
about punishing me. You talked about punishing explicitly my kid and
if
not me.
Trump is
What
so
about the
evil,
birthright citizenship?
Why are people coming here? Why do people want to come here if Trump is so evil?
Didn't immigration
America's
rates like
evil,
plummet?
The government is evil.
Immigration
Why are
rates
people
down by
coming
95%.
here?
Immigration rates
legal
plummeted
and
as soon as
illegal.
Donald Trump came in, so
Yes.
that makes sense.
Boundaries are border counters are down.
That's why they come on a Democrats in office.
Immigration
Trump's
is
gonna hurt
at
their
an
children.
all-time high, and immigration is down to an all-time low. People don't want to be coming here.
Yep. True.
We are on a
Look,
travel warning by Human Rights International.
But also,
Like,
okay,
no one
so
wants to come here.
to Eli, so you agreed that punishing people's children off the sins of the parents is evil. I would probably agree. How would you justify the birthright citizenship, EO?
The birthright citizenship EO. So that's where if they come in and the two parents are not citizens, but the
It's
child's
strict
born in
citizenship
America.
of the child. Yeah,
Right. I don't see like how is that punishing the child?
stripping its
Like if I
citizenship.
don't give yeah.
Is it? It's
better-
if
Because
Donald
nothing is
Trump revoked your
stipulated.
citizenship
Well,
right now.
hold on. What is the what happens? Like, said kid born in America, mom and dad are illegal. Kid is now 7 years old. Mom and dad get caught. What happens there?
I don't know if it would retroactively strip citizenship, but it would prevent people who are supposed to be naturalized citizenship or naturalized citizens under the 14th Amendment to no longer be citizens. I don't understand how that's not punishing the child.
Well, so it's a punishment to not live in America?
Huh?
Is it a
Sorry.
punishment to not live in America?
If you have all of the constitutional protections to be a citizen and Donald Trump does not feel the need to grant you citizenship, then I would argue that that is a punishment. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, and I also thought that this place was all like systemically racist and stuff. So I don't know.
Okay, I don't know how that
why
engages
that would
with
be.
anything.
Yeah, no, because I mean, I thought if these people are going to be living in a subjugated state, in this country, it might actually benefit them to not be a citizen here. But
Okay, so memeing aside,
here's
do you
what I
have any
think.
answer for
No,
that?
I think it's justified in the sense that, like, I don't think a pregnant woman who's like about to give birth should be able to sprint across the Rio Grande, and because she gets to the other side of the line and she plops out a baby, that baby should have immediate citizenship. I think that's wrong.
Do pregnant women typically sprint?
It's a hypothetical. Don't dodge. Don't dodge the point I'm making.
I'm not dodging. This is the 14th Amendment. I mean, if you want to seek an amendment, you can. But I mean, I don't understand why we would remove.
Maybe we should. I don't know.
Rights for no
We can
reason.
talk about it.
It's part of Western. No, it's part of the culture of the New World. Most other countries have preferred citizenship.
oily,
You'd have to give me a very strong justification for like the removal of it. And right now, I just do not see that like in any.
Well, again, do you not think that people abuse that system so that they can come over, have a
people
baby,
abuse
and then
free
have this
speech?
connection to the country?
Why don't we
You think?
talk
Wait,
about
wait.
the
Do you think
parents
people
first?
abuse free speech?
Can I ask?
No.
Can I ask?
Why don't we talk about the parents?
Because it's not targeting the parents; it's targeting the children.
Hold on. I have a question.
And who's giving birth to the children?
Hold on. Does any other country like acknowledge this type of naturalized citizenship if the parents are
Almost none.
illegally there?
Almost none.
Hold
You
on.
got it
Hold
in
on.
Britain.
Hold the fuck on. If the parents are both illegally there, it has to be illegal, and mom happens to give birth in that border, and 7 years later it's found out mom and dad are living here illegally, does the child still have U.S. citizenship? No, or not U.S., but whatever country citizenship, no matter what.
Yes, we got it from British common law.
But didn't
That's where it came from.
Let's.
Let me look it up. I want to look it up. But okay, that's one country though. If I go to Mexico, me and Eli get married. He's married. This is
You
just a
guys get
joke.
that there's a difference between the U.S. and other countries, though, right? We do not have an ethnicity to America. America is not for a specific ethnicity.
I'm
as
not
much as a lot of
talking
people would
about
like it to be.
ethnicity. I'm talking about.
I know, Evan.
We're not talking about ethnicity.
I'm talking about if Evan and I we're gonna run off. We're deeply in love. His mother gave us our blessing, and we're like, you know what? I just want to go to Mexico, but I don't think we can get it legally. Like, let's just sneak over the border, right? They do it this way. I can go the other way. I'm gonna sneak over that border, and Evan and I we're gonna go. We got married, and we're having babies, and 7 years later, the Mexican government finds us on a beach somewhere deeply in love. And we have children who were born there, and we have birth certificates to prove it, or whatever they have. I don't know. And what will Mexico do to us and our children after finding out that we are illegally residing there?
So
I mean,
in
pretty
Mexico-
frankly,
What should
I don't-
America care what
Well,
ethno states do?
Yeah, I don't really care. I don't want to be. I don't want to be
asking-
Mexico.
Look, I want
It's because
a
why
measure
should
of
we follow-
relativity. I want a measure of relativity here. Like why is why is it so important that we let everyone else come in and you just have a baby here, so therefore, but here's your blessing, you're granted,
Well,
you're an
actually,
American.
it does say Mexico does have birthright citizenship.
most
if
New
they're
World
born,
countries have
but Mexico's a shithole, so I,
Yeah.
Point
don't
of it
really
is-
take them
Well,
as a
I
standard.
just
Point of it
read that
is-
Ireland. I just said Ireland because I'm Irish, but I'm born and raised here. My whole family is. But in Ireland, before 2005, January 1st, 2005, citizenship is dependent on the parent's status. But if you're born after January 1st, 2005, you are not a citizen of Ireland if you were born there and your parents are illegal. So why should we follow everybody else?
We're
Is
not
Ireland
Ireland.
evil?
Wait, hold on. We're not
Is
Ireland.
Ireland evil?
We are not
We're
Ireland.
not an
We don't wanna
ethno
set-
state.
We don't want to We don't want to set the precedent that the president can just sign an
I-
executive
no,
order
but I-
and strip people's constitutional rights.
But let's get into
If you
those
get rid of
metaphysics.
Do you
14th
not
Amendment,
know that
if
there's
you get
a
rid of your
whole
14th Amendment
judgment
rights, you get rid
that
of your First Amendment rights,
the
your Second Amendment
president
rights, your
has to
Third
go
Amendment
through
rights, your
all
Fourth
of
Amendment
it.
rights.
Hold up. You're presupposing this constitutional right on anybody that just happens to fall over that fence and onto our land. Like, you're presuming, you just so happen to be here. Like, number one, and this is why I asked Y'all too, like, is it more than just transactional, or are we only something that's transactional to these other immigrants, legal or illegal? And then I question, what are their loyalties to America? If we turned and decided to start a war with their country, wherever it may be, doesn't matter, and they were here legally or illegally, if we are simply something that's transactional to them, then can't they just flip on us too and say, fuck you, that's my homeland, that's where I was born, that's where I belong,
So
and
so
so
could legal
are we
immigrants.
just handing this shit out like candy and saying, come here, it's great? No, or are we making people really, like, you really want to be here?
It should be this simple. In the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, they lay out multiple different categories that you need to meet in order to be a U.S. citizen. And they say you need to be born here and you need to be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. As long as you meet both of those qualifications, you are a citizen. It should be that simple.
Yeah, I don't
The fact that
understand.
Donald Trump is trying to rob people of their constitutional rights by making a new imaginary category to add to the 14th Amendment that your parents also need to be born here is just anti-constitution. It's anti-constitutional.
Okay, but is that evil?
I didn't bring it up as it being evil.
I'm
I brought it
asking
up
you,
as
though.
no, probably not. But the reason that I brought it up is because you said, should we be punishing the children of
this is the
parents?
problem
And I'm
with
saying, why would we
FG's
be
dog shit
stripping-
hypotheticals. Is
I
he
would
said
really, I
harm?
would really love to finish the point first. You
Okay.
asked, should we
Oh,
be
yeah, I can prove
punishing?
harm. I could do that
Should
in
we
5
be
seconds,
punishing the child for the sins of the parents? And I said, how do you feel about the birthright citizenship, EO? Because he's literally stripping constitutional rights from the children of illegal immigrants with no legal standing to do so.
Could essentially, directly or indirectly, a child whose parent goes to prison, could that child inevitably still be facing some kind of consequence of their parent doing wrong?
Not by the state, but I mean,
But isn't it indirect? It's an indirect consequence, right?
Sure, there are going to be indirect consequences for a lot of things.
Exactly.
That's I wouldn't argue that that's it's not an indirect consequence for the president to go out of their way to strip constitutional rights for somebody because of the sin of their parents.
Again, that's why I said that F&G's hypothetical was dog shit, because in his hypothetical, I'm innocent, my kid's innocent, he's harming my kid because he doesn't like me. But that's a total
No,
straw
it
man of
actually
the
wasn't a
entire position.
hypothetical. It was an analogy to what he
Or
did at
analogy,
the
whatever you
border
wanna call it.
by changing the status of a specific offense coming across the border. If you
I know.
came across the border and you committed a higher offense, yeah, your kids are taken away just like it's always been. But he made it to where every crossing was done that, intentionally knowing that it would take children away. And that's why the kids with cages thing happened on his watch. And he harmed those children. He stuck them in cages with other children who were pissing and shitting themselves and having panic
Obama
attacks
did
and
that
medical
first.
shit.
That was debunked, my dude.
I just
Like,
said
literally,
that
those
every
cages were-
you're the
group
one
who's
making
had a
the-
higher federal crime has had their kids taken away. But
You're
he
the one
did it
making
for
the
everyone
presupposition that
as
he's
an
doing it just because he
intentional
doesn't like
measure.
them, and that's a total straw man.
No, he's doing it as a deterrent. He's doing it as a deterrent.
No, but in your
He thinks
analogy,
harming
you
their
said
kids
because
will
I
deter
just
people
don't
from
like
coming.
you. You said because I just don't like you. That was in
No, I
your
just said
analogy.
it's evil. I just said it's evil, hurting someone's kids.
No, yeah, you're
Stop
dodging
your
your own
the
analogy.
kids in cages.
Is evil.
The kids in cages was under Obama.
Yeah, I was
That
gonna
wasn't
say
Trump.
I thought that was a little
No, it's
further
the
back.
parents.
Only a Mr. Bill said Sarah said data on illegal immigrants, not race. Draco says sit Ryan's disrespectful arse in the back. He is back there, and or did he leave? No, he's still back there. Jessica Jane said, "Put the shovel down, Ryan. You're in deep enough." Dearden says, "I'm only as popular as I am because of Raging Tomato, yet I'm going to claim she's low-key racist. You should be more grateful for all she's done for you." Wow, shots fired. That's kind of funny. Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question. Do you guys think Trump's mass deportation efforts are justified?
Yeah, we have a bit of a problem with our current immigration system, and before it can be fixed, we have to go in, remove all of the people that have, I'd say, exploit the system, but rather have overflowed the system to such a point where trying to readjust it now would go in, take far too much time, and would be very inefficient.
Okay, and is that solely on the basis that they've broken the U.S. law?
No, actually, and I'll go back to what the LP has actually brought up. He said that there were two requirements for citizenship: that they were either born on U.S. soil or that they were under the jurisdiction of the United States. Well, if you're not only illegal, but if you are waving a Mexican flag in favor of the United States government, then yeah, you need to go.
Wait, no,
It's
I
justified.
was asking. Wait,
You are saying that your loyalty and your recognition of the United States is not valid.
Just
That
out of
you don't
curiosity-
recognize the state as
Wait, hold on,
legitimate. So
Trinity,
you
please,
need to
please,
go.
Let me respond to that.
Oh, go ahead.
How many newborns do you know that wave Mexican flags? Just out of curiosity.
I wasn't saying newborns.
Okay,
He's
so if
asking
it's
were
applying
mass
to the- if
deportations
it's applying-
justified.
Well, you were talking about the 14th Amendment.
No, we were talking about the mass deportations happening now. They're not happening to newborns. Please.
Well,
I'm answering
you
his
said
question.
in order to get citizenship under the 14th Amendment, you need to be here. You have to be born here and be subject to the jurisdiction, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What
so,
can I? Sorry,
So-
I know you're going back and forth. Can I ask what you mean?
sorry.
Hold on. Can I ask what you mean by subject to the jurisdiction? What do you mean by that?
it means that you need
you can't be an
be under-
ambassador.
It means you
Hold
need
on.
to be under the U.S. jurisdiction. It means you need to be summonable in court. It means our justice system needs to be able to get to you. You can't be an ambassador. You can't be. I think at the time there was an exception for wild Indians, but that's not really
In a foreign army.
Yeah, or yeah, as a
So,
part of the foreign.
if you-
encouragement.
Let me
Wild
ask-
Indians, that's crazy.
Can I ask you this then? If somebody is here illegally and they have a child and that name is even still not a legal name, right? Maybe they're residing somewhere, they're kind of in hiding or whatever, doing their thing. Are they still subject to jurisdiction?
Yes.
Yes.
In fact,
How do
illegal
you-
immigrants are
how
subject
do
to
you-
jurisdiction.
how do you find
Try in
them?
court.
How by process are they under jurisdiction? Do they what is it just something as opaque
Yes.
as a mailing address? No.
You need
no,
to be
they have to
reasonable
be
by the justice
documented. They have
system. If you can be
That caveat
summonable
is
in court-
carved out specifically for
documentation.
people with diplomatic immunity and foreign invasions so that invading armies can't have babies and make citizens. That's specifically what in the jurisdiction of
Wait,
means.
I'm sorry.
People trying to stretch this to mean like, oh, they're here illegally, therefore they're not in the jurisdiction of. It's not what it means. The Supreme Court has never held it to that.
I just want to be clear here. I was asking what the justification for mass deportation is. If there's an illegal immigrant who hasn't waved any Mexican flags, should they still be deported?
Are they?
Do you think they should still be deported?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the
At this point in
justification?
time,
Is
yeah.
it because
Yeah.
is it because they broke U.S. law, which means that they
Yes.
should be Okay, so I guess my question is, so under federal law, smoking marijuana or possession of marijuana is a federal felony. Do you think all U.S. citizens who have possessed marijuana should be thrown in federal prison, as we should deport 20 million illegal immigrants? Do you think that would be like a justifiable action by Trump administration? Would you support the Trump administration in locking up all U.S. citizens who have smoked marijuana?
No, but that
Dude.
comparison lacks nuance.
That's too.
Okay, what's the symmetry right here?
Hold on.
That's citizens and non-citizens.
Hold on. Smoking marijuana puts you in prison federally?
No.
Possession of marijuana is a federal felony.
Possession of marijuana is
It's
can
a federal
federally. How much marijuana are we talking? Distributable amount,
Any amount.
or like
Any
if
amount.
you have
Any
a
amount
joint,
is a federal
Any
felony.
amount. It's
It's
a
a
federal felony.
federal offense.
Yes.
Yeah, you can be
Okay.
put in prison.
Should we
Bro,
prosecute
smoking
them to the
isn't
full
illegal.
extent of the law?
Selling is a
Oh,
crime.
he's pretty much saying, why are we punishing people for committing this federal crime but not that federal crime?
Yeah. Okay. So do you think people who break federal law should be punished under the full extent of that federal law?
Not in the case of
If
the
they're
marijuana
caught.
smokers. No.
No.
So you're okay with not enforcing some federal laws?
Yeah, I said there's nuance.
Okay, so you wouldn't be okay if enforcing federal laws that would like overall harm the country.
Well, again, I think that there's a lot bound up in what that means. That's a super generalized.
Define harm.
Yeah.
Harm, like just like economic harm in this case, because like obviously
Economic harm.
that'd be like the main.
The
That'd be
whole
like,
point of legalizing weed was to make economic positive.
yeah. And
No,
so
it was to
black-
stop harming people
I'm
for
sorry,
doing
wait,
a harmless
wait,
thing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no victim in
And-
smoking marijuana.
The whole point.
And frankly, I'm just gonna and I'm not a super politics guy. It's funny. Rinyal said that he needs to be prepared for the metaphysical analysis. I want to get to that with evil soon.
I'm sure.
I'm highly critical of Trump and everybody in politics in general. I would say that like when it comes to the marijuana thing, there was a lot of state pushback, right? There was a lot of states that said, actually, we're going to do this. Our system's built up to have states having that kind of autonomy. If California wanted to open up tomorrow and say, hey, we'll take all the illegals, you all come here and you're safe. You know what I'm going to do? Not fucking move to California, and that's fine. They can do that if they want, but we're not seeing that kind of response.
They did the sanctuary.
Okay, wait. So
There's
consider.
sanctuary cities and everything.
I do have to ask. So considering that
Illegal.
enforcing fully enforcing federal weed laws would not be justifiable action due to the harm it would cause to American citizens, it must also therefore not be a justifiable action to deport 20 million people, because that would also cause great harm to the American country.
Who? Oh no! Wait! See what you did there? You said the first one would cause harm to U.S. citizens. Then the second one, because it would do harm to the greater American country.
It also caused harm to U.S. citizens.
No,
Sorry.
deporting illegal people
It
who
would
aren't
cause
citizens.
harm to U.S. citizens. Yes, it would.
How?
Do you think if we just erased 20 million illegal immigrants, that would harm the economy? Yes or no?
No. Again, this is why a definition of harm comes in.
Do you think if
Even
we
there
turned
is a
ourselves into a police
No.
state with the sole purpose of having to find a shitload of illegal people, it would harm the country?
Effigy, we're already a police state.
Yeah, do you think that if we turn into a police
more
state to make sure nobody harms
that
anybody ever, that would be, this is really bound up in your
I
definition
think
of
that
harm.
happened 30 years
Oh,
ago. by the
so
way.
illegal immigrants make up 3% of private sector GDP. Illegal immigrants have loans.
Right,
Illegal
it's-
immigrants have houses and leases. If we just deport all of them, they're going to have rents that aren't going to be paid. We're going to have loans that aren't going to be paid. We're going to have businesses that don't have workers.
Is GDP the highest standard to a good society?
Do you think GDP? Do you think a low GDP harms society greatly?
Maybe to
I don't
some
think
degree, but
GDP
again,
means
depends
shit
what we
to
mean by
society.
harm.
Really? So a society with a very low GDP.
I don't think it means a damn thing.
Do you think a society with a very, very low
No.
GDP is a good one?
Really?
So,
Wait,
Sorry,
what?
Right, let
Wait,
me,
I didn't
hold
go
on,
that
hold
far,
on,
but-
hold on. I read a little more.
Right,
Stop for a second, because I want to make sure this gets corrective. Stop for a second, please. Penalties for federal marijuana possession, and it could be to any amount, right? Any amount. There's a first offense is $1,000 or up to a year in prison. Second offense is $2,500 and 15 days to 2 years in prison. The third offense or subsequent offense, fourth, fifth, sixth, is maximum fine of $5,000 and 90 to 3 years in prison. What are you talking about? 10 years in prison?
I never said 10. I just said, do you think it would be justifiable to throw every single American who's ever smoked marijuana into federal prison? So
well, look at harm versus
okay. Well, if we're just talking about harm, then illegal immigrants.
Hold on. And this is, I'm going to take it back to, because this is Rinyald's utilitarianism.
Base.
Right?
Well, no, let me ask you this. Do you think that we need... Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Rinyald claims the utilitarian perspective in his argument. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to say utilitarian, speaking, is it good for society and the positive consequences, potential of, net gain if we take, how many people did you say?
I said 20 million.
20 million. We take,
or for American citizens, 15% of American citizens have in fact smoked marijuana.
Well, smoked it, right?
In order to smoke something, you must have possession of it.
Okay, but
unless you're Bill Clinton
with it, but fair enough.
Right. So in any case, is it good for society if I happen to get a joint and smoke it, and that's the one time I've ever smoked it, is it worth that a max of $1,000 fine or up to a 1 year in prison? Is it worth it for the government to go tracking down every single one of those people that have possession of one joint?
No.
Nope, it is not. Which is why, again, which I would agree with you. Just like it wouldn't be good or it wouldn't be justifiable to fully enforce federal marijuana laws, it would also not be justifiable to deport 20 million people because of the harm that would have on American citizens. For example, again, we just to economic harm, which I've already fully fleshed out the position.
To that position, I mean, do you think that this country needs poor, brown, desperate people to do the low-paying jobs nobody wants to do, and we better make sure we always have poor, brown, desperate people in order to do those jobs?
I feel like you support slavery if you say that.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. Two. I would preferably we'd give these people some sort of green card or amnesty. I do have a question for you. Do you think these people are better off here or in Venezuela?
Better off supporting their home where they came from.
Check question.
Okay.
They're better off in the U.S. What reality do you live in? Venezuela's a shithole. Come on.
Hold on. I'm very far behind on super chats. Let me read through these real quick before anyone's. We're gonna end back on cringy leftist.
Wait, Sarah, there was a super chat that went by that I didn't get to address. Can I go back to it?
That went by that you didn't get to address?
It was the SGA one. The share one?
That one's actually next up, literally next up on the list. Michael Kimball just sending $10 to say that he has very shitty internet. Whenever he sits backstage, everything seems to work just fine. But the minute I bring him up, his entire system shuts down because his system just cannot handle being on the Raging Tomatoes panel. But we love you, Michael Kimball. And for everyone to know, of course, we play the booting game. So, and I saw that Scratch paid to bring himself back up. Scratch, let me know backstage who you would like to boot. And I've got SB's coming down and Ryan's coming up. So let me do this. SB's coming down and Ryan's coming up. And then Scratch, you just need to let me know backstage who you'd like to drop from the panel in order to bring yourself back up. And then let me get back. So B-Twix says SGA won MVP last year in the NBA, Rinyald, and he's very black. You have no idea what you're talking about. Go for it, Rinyald.
Yeah, so the reason...
White boy.
The MVP doesn't necessarily dictate the best player in the league. The reason that SGA won MVP is because he's on the goddamn Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay, that's the best team in the fucking league. Obviously, he's going to be more in contention for MVP. Nikola Jokic, if you ask almost anybody for the past few years, has been the best player in the NBA. If you look at his stat line, he probably is.
That's fair. David says, Sarah, can we talk more about Trump being evil? We're surrounding it, okay? And it all starts with me being the evil racist here and my small little minuscule personhood expands beyond in context of why people take one small thing you say and say you're a fucking racist. So,
Well, since that's obviously a jab at me, can I respond to that? I think calling
no,
something.
you can't actually respond
Okay,
to it,
fair enough,
Ryan.
fair enough.
Jonathan
All right.
says race
This
is a
is-
part of culture worldwide. It's a fact. Ryan needs to learn sarcasm a little harder. Michael Kimball says, "Peace out, Scratch. Bring anyone else up." That was from earlier. I already booted you. Michael Kimball says, "Can anyone here come to America without cause, or should there be a standard for people coming here?"
There should be
a standard, but I mean,
Yeah. There is a standard.
there is a standard, and the children of illegal immigrants meet it. Just
Yes.
I guess we'll just say
Just
this.
because-
Since I guess we moved on to like, or I guess we pivoted to like.
well, I think there's more super chats, so don't
I'm
change
sorry.
the subject yet.
I'll go
Yeah,
ahead.
don't dive too far in.
I'm too.
Scratch is being a sexist. He chose to drop the only other female on the panel in order to put his position back
Squad
up
W.
here. Evan Lord says, "Sorry if I'm not looking and arguing my best. I woke up from a bad sleep." Though to steer the conversation, Stephen Miller was chosen because of AIPCA.
The only reason I brought
APAC.
that up, the only reason I brought that up is because I think that it wasn't really a full, complete choice on Trump's part. He was given like a list of people that he had to bring a part of his own coalition to get himself elected, and it's kind of like the poisons that you kind of have to drink. And
Trump is such a victim.
I feel like every politician is a victim, except for the New York mayor candidate. He has found a way to break the curse, which God willing.
Are you telling me that Donald Trump didn't willingly pick his cabinet? That he was being like coerced into doing it?
I think whenever there's money with politics, there's a certain level of mutual sort of like tug and push and pull. So
Do you
I
think there
would
was
say
like a whole ton of huge money interest behind RFK Jr.?
Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. I feel like every major
Well, I guess it's
politician has
non-falsifiable
money. That's fair. I'm not saying like I have 100% knowledge or anything. I just do know that if you look at like one of his major donors, like they gave him a lot of money and they are very, very, very pro-Israel. And I know a lot about Stephen Miller, and he's also very much pro-Israel. And
Do you think that Trump's more influenced by AIPAC or by direct donations from Elon Musk during the election?
I would say definitely Elon Musk, and I think that's why he put up with him for so long. Not saying Elon Musk is completely eccentric, I'll put it kindly, but yeah, I think that's why he was able to go and be there for so long and to do what he did.
You learned how to use fucking
Hello.
StreamYard, but you don't know how to
I'm
copy
happy.
paste the link. It's like
Naturalization is for people who are already fucking alive.
Yeah,
They're from
just-
other countries.
Just to be
And
clear,
how do they become naturalized? Do the parents have to be citizens or not?
Go through a fucking process, you moron.
Oh,
It's why there's an
Ryan.
order.
Ryan's got to
Michael,
go,
exactly.
and Michael's
You guys don't
got
know how
to
the
go.
fucking 14th Amendment works.
just out of curiosity, I don't know. Do you know what "or"
okay.
means?
No,
Born
he's
or
gotta
naturalized,
go.
or
He's
is
gotta
that-
go.
Can I-
Let's
Jesus
see
Christ.
who was next in line. I said Hall.
like a fucking
Then
retard
it
off.
was back to Weevil. Weevil, then Hex, then Kay.
I did
then
pay 10
Ryan,
Hex up.
then Michael.
Wait, I did
Okay.
I did pay 10 to bring Hex up before.
Oh, my
before
fault. Who do you?
kicked all of us off the
Did
panel.
Didn't. Oh, okay.
Can I just
Who
say
are
something
you?
really quick?
Who are you booting?
Who am I boot? Jesus. Ooh, that's a tough one.
You get this out of your way.
That's
so
the
you
guy,
can
the
find
only person
names.
who isn't cammed up. I will be booting. See ya.
Aw, we love effigy.
I love effigy. I'm sorry.
Can I make
All right,
sure
and
that
you're bringing Hex back up?
Can I make sure that we agree on
Hello.
this fact? Can we agree that in JGG versus Trump, the Supreme Court ruled that people were not being given adequate due process under the Alien Enemies Act? Do we all
I
agree to
agree.
that?
Yep.
All right.
No.
Hold on.
No,
Let
you don't
me.
agree?
If everyone could just let me do some super chats. Roman King says, "What little they think of hard workers when they call it slavery. Harvesting food for a nation is honorable, honest day's work. They work willingly.
They had
okay,
children
yeah.
working on a marijuana farm. Doubt.
I also worked on these farms as a kid in between the ages of 9 and 12 illegally. So, I mean, I got paid under the table. Are we saying paying individuals under the table unfair labor wages is good for our economy? And if so, how is that not slavery?
Unfair.
What do you think slavery is?
Okay, one thing. I don't think the majority of people who are working on these farms are children. Most of them are adults. If you look at like
No,
the,
I'm saying I worked on these farms as well. Like I worked on
talking
farms
about a
growing up.
systemic issue. I'm not talking about your own individual experience. So systemically, I think the average age of an immigrant is like 35 years old. Even if they are getting paid below wages, that's still not slavery. They're willingly do it. They willingly came across the border illegally.
So if they're getting paid below minimum wage,
get paid here, and the reason they're doing that is because it's better.
So they willingly.
So if they get paid,
so they willingly committed under the. Do I have the bad lag again?
Yeah, you got the bad lag. Go fix it.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Hey, I also want to address the issue that you guys completely curved the fact that the law was passed after the end of the U.S. Civil War, and it was a way to affirm rights to Black Americans who were formerly enslaved. This was primarily intended to address the legacy of slavery and was to ensure that formerly enslaved people were granted citizenship. This does not entail anyone who comes across the border and drops an anchor baby should automatically be granted citizenship. It was a way to affirm slaves' citizenship. So you guys are completely curbing the entire point of the amendment in the first place.
As a black, as a Black American and Black voice on this panel, I affirm and uphold the current interpretation.
Who cares? Okay. Do you acknowledge?
No,
do you
you're
know
not the child of slaves.
Do you know what Wong Kim Ark is?
Enlighten me.
Okay, it's a Supreme Court ruling asking this very question, and they ruled that he is a citizen.
What is? I'm sorry. What was the court case?
Who?
It was Wong Kim Ark.
V.U.S.
Spell
Yeah,
that
and
for me.
once again, like
US.
the
Wong
founders weren't
Oh,
in.
shut the fuck up for a minute. I'm asking
Hold on,
a
I'll put
question.
it in back chat.
Thank
Wong
you. That's so
Kim
much even
Ark.
helpful.
V.U.S.
All right, everybody shut up. And this was from earlier. So again, the numbers like kind of bounced around, but overall Ryan was booted. Almighty Nate wanted to bring him back. Cringy brought Hex up. Hex say thank you. Chef Dylan said, are they missing the same tooth? I saw this one scroll by and I had to kind of
Wait, what?
tame myself.
Yeah.
Are they missing the same tooth? It was Michael and Rhyme.
That was funny.
Chef Dylan said the 14th was made for slaves and their children, not for any and all foreigners to lay their seed here and teach them to hate America. Has Ryan heard of legally obligated assimilation?
No one's teaching them to hate America.
If there's a rule that says all people are given due process rights and it's meant to apply to Black people, it still says all persons. It doesn't matter what group it was intended to apply to. It says all persons. And
So
SCOTUS
also-
backed me up. SCOTUS also ruled that.
I also wanted you to know, do you know what Dobbs versus Jackson is?
Enlighten me.
Got you. So it's actually the court proceedings that overturn Roe v. Wade. So sometimes courts get things wrong. So your assertion that just because this other court says that this happened doesn't actually negate the fact that the 14th Amendment was initially institutionalized during the end of the Civil War to allow citizens to get citizenship.
Hold on, I have to push back because I understand a lot of case precedents and how it operates, and basically how the Supreme Court interprets a federal law, regulation, so on and so forth, or even a situation, a circumstance. That's how it's intended to be interpreted later, and that is the standing precedent. So what happened, and I'm reading this Wong Kim Ark one right now because I want to see if it was overturned or further interpreted later in any different way, just to ensure, right? But what it is basically what Rinaldi is quoting is the newest interpretation of that 14th Amendment and how the courts view it as. So once that interpretation is set, then that will be the standing understanding of that law. And the same thing happened with Roe v. Wade. We saw how Roe v. Wade went one way first, but then later was overturned by the Supreme Court. Now that will be the presiding law going forward. Does that make sense?
Also, the language is hyper clear. Also, if you read the language in the 14th Amendment, it's hyper clear that it applies to these people.
I'm pretty sure when the Supreme Court interprets amendments, they look at the text, and if the text isn't clear, then they look at the intention. So
yep,
I don't know why you
text is clear
since the text is very clear.
Just real quick, somebody has their mic a little too close and is breathing to it. I think it's the guy who just joined with the Blue Yeti mic. With the person with the black Blue Yeti who's next to the Hex. You're breathing. Just push your mic slightly away. You're breathing into it a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
And then another one came into kick Ryan earlier. Chef Dylan says due process of law. The due process has been agreed to be expedited removal. ChatGPT it. Ryan, if you're in the back still, go look that up or whatever that is. I'd like your interpretation of whatever that is. And this one was the overrule. Barbareth booted both of them. Thank God, because that was actually kind of melting my brain a little. David says the Supreme Court unanimously agrees that the 14th Amendment protects due process of all persons in the U.S. Abrigo Garcia versus Noam. I'm going to go look up that one as well. Thank you so much. I will go and dig in. Evan Lord says, I like these two great black debaters and hope they come again. Damn, Evan. They are exponentially better than Teriak, the leader of the black. Oh, yeah, that was a terrible debate the other night. Oh, my God. That you want to talk about a brain fryer, talking about how polygyny is like the best thing since sliced bread. You want DGen Central, man. You go hang out with that dude. All right. I'm going to leave it to the panel. I'm going to look up those cake courses, guys. Court cases.
Are you going to bake a cake for us?
Yeah. And I'm going to go look those up and kind of review them and see what's in there and the interpretation. And then if anything was overturned or later reinterpreted, yada, yada, yada. But I'm going to do that while you guys play.
I'd hate to add another case onto the ones that you need to look into, but in JGG versus Trump, page 3, they said the detainees also sought equitable relief against summary removal. Although judicial review under the AEA is limited, we have held that an individual subject to detention and removal under that statute is entitled to judicial review as to questions of interpretation and constitutionality of the act, as well as whether or not he is in fact an alien enemy 14 years or older. If they weren't provided that, that's a violation of their due process rights. JGG versus Trump.
Okay. All right, I'll look up that one and the other two. All right, back to you guys. Racism or evil or something.
So Arizal, I'd love to hear your response.
I'm still reading the court case right now. It's Azrael, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not Azrael.
I just want to know, does do any of the conservatives on here disagree with any of the facts that I laid out in the opening, or like any of them at all? Like Donald Trump trying to uproot democracy, Donald Trump sending people to a torture camp with no due process, Donald Trump appointing white nationalist Stephen Miller to senior advisor, Donald Trump saying maybe the Second Amendment people could do something about Hillary Clinton. Any of that?
I definitely disagree with you standing on the word evil.
I'm okay.
Yeah, can you explain some cases that he sent them? Like, what cases do you know of the people that he sent to be tortured?
What cases do I know of?
Like what people have been tortured by him sending them over?
Kilmar Abrego Garcia testified that there was torture, and the one hairdresser guy testified that there was torture, and one guy in Alligator Alcatraz, the story just came out today, that he called his girlfriend saying that the police officers were stomping on people's heads.
Okay, is there actual proof of that? Other than just
there's the phone call. I mean, I believe it or not, prisons don't usually allow cell phones to just be recording all of the conduct. That's typically not how it happens. But real quick, in 2022, and in 2023, the State Department reported that El Salvador is torturing their prisoners, and we have Kilmar Abrego Garcia who testified under oath to the court that he was being tortured.
And
Can you send me a link of all of these, like in the
Yeah.
chat over here? I would love to look them up.
Yep, give me 1 second. Wait, I hate to do self promo, but I have a Substack about it. All the stuff is linked if you want to read that.
W. Read the subs.
There's links to everything. Give me 1 second. But so is that a no? Like on the material thing, there's not really much disagreement, and it's whether or not we would call that evil.
Yeah, I mean, I want to challenge your definition of the word evil. I think that if you're going to say that you need to at least have a standard to base that off of. So, what is your standard for evil?
The definition I gave at the beginning was like wildly immoral and then causing unnecessary harm. But like I said at the beginning as well, I want to try and keep this to the material because I'm not interested in diverging all of this into a meta-ethical discussion. So if you want to propose a definition of evil, I'm sure it applies.
Yeah, well, see, that's the whole problem is if you don't want to get into a meta-ethical discussion, then why would you use the word evil? Why wouldn't you just say, wrong,
whenever people make appeals,
abhorrent?
whenever people make appeals to good and bad, it's not always with their meta-ethical. Like whenever I come
Yes,
home
it
from
is.
work and my girlfriend's like, "Oh yeah, how was your day?" and I'm like, "Oh, it was bad," and it's like, "Okay, what are you grounding that in?" It's like,
Yeah.
this is
Well,
a colloquial.
Yeah, but you're
term. People
clearly
use the term
not saying that
colloquially.
Trump is doing these things like a bad day. You're implying a moral prerogative to it, right? So that
Yes,
would
so I'm asking,
that
do you
would
believe-
indicate that you have a moral standard. So do you think that
Eli, would you
Hitler is
believe-
evil?
Yes. Would you believe that sending people with no due process to a torture camp is evil?
Sending people with no due process to a torture camp in the way that you're framing it, yeah. But like I think we've determined in this debate that there's a lot of different stipulations to
Do you
that.
reject any of that
But-
framing?
Yeah, but the difference is that I have a standard by which to apply this that's different.
Yeah, I'm
than
saying under
yours.
your standard, do you believe that that's evil? Because we can work under your standard as long as all of the facts of the case is the same. If you agree that that's evil, and I can prove that the facts of the case substantiate my framing, then my framing would tell you that he's evil too. So we don't even need to talk
No,
about.
I don't think it's the same. I don't actually think that the way you're describing it is evil in the way that you're describing it. Actually. So-
Okay. Oh, okay.
What's your
Yeah,
standard?
because
You
first of all, do you know number one? Whenever you make a claim like this, like, do you know that Trump knew that they were being sent to torture camps when it happened? And two, did he have any way, if he did know, to change it or do anything about it?
We paid $6 million to Bukele in order to store them in CCOT, so I would say that that's a tacit endorsement. And Donald Trump in the White House had Bukele in a meeting talking about like praising him for the way that he's treated his gang population, which includes these torture camps. And again, two separate years.
Okay, so do you agree that MS-13 is in these torture camps?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what kind of atrocities MS-13 commits?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm not necessarily advocating eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but what I'm saying is this does come down to an actually deeply moral argument, and I think that if you don't have a standard for what evil is,
I'm not talking about whether or not El Salvador doing it is evil. I'm talking about if Donald Trump paying people to Donald Trump paying to send people there with no due process is evil.
So it's not evil when El Salvador does it, but it's evil when Trump sends people there.
No, because the conditions are different, and El Salvador is not doing it with no due process.
Oh, okay, so something can be A and not A at the same time.
I understand that you really want to hammer this into a meta-ethical conversation. I don't understand
Yeah.
why we can't talk about that.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get you to back up a claim. I don't think that that's so wrong.
I'm
to
saying
do.
under your you agreed with me. Under your definition of evil, this would be evil. You're just refusing to talk
If
about.
it- yeah, well, again,
you want to rail me
again,
down into a
well,
meta-ethical
yeah,
conversation.
So here's the thing: if there was a guy who was completely innocent, and Trump looked at him and said, "This innocent dude gets no due process, and throw him to the torture camps," then yeah, that might be considered evil. But I don't think that's what's happened, and I think that's a total
then
lack
let's
of
talk about
nuance
that.
and straw
Then
man of the
let's
situation.
Talk about that. Let's talk about
Well,
that. We don't need to
okay,
talk
I
about
just-
the meta-ethical standards. We can talk about my framing.
Oh yeah, you want to run away from ethical
Okay, I
standards because you can't back them up.
Because it's
So
not relevant. I can prove it to
Meta-ethics
you
is
under
entirely
your
relevant.
fucking worldview. It's not
well,
relevant.
if it's not. No, I just told you in my worldview that I may disagree with you. So
wait,
I think that.
No, you don't disagree with me on a worldview level. You disagree with my framing. I want to talk
Oh no,
about
I
my
disagree with you
framing.
on a worldview level. I
wanna
promise
talk
you
about
that.
my framing. Do you disagree with my framing?
Do I disagree with your framing? Yes, and your worldview level and your
Where do you
use of
disagree
moral
with my
terms.
framing? Where do you disagree with my framing?
Like I said, I think that you're implying that Trump, one, knew it was a torture camp, wanted them to go to a torture camp, knew that they were innocent, and wanted to put them in a torture camp anyway. That's the implication when you say Trump is evil because he's throwing people in torture camps.
When I say no due process, does that mean they know he was innocent, or does that mean they didn't check?
Well, again, I think that this is all highly debatable.
I have one for you.
Yeah, let's
engage.
Reniel,
Oh my
hold on. Hold on. I dove. Hold on. I dove in a little bit on the Wong Kim arc, and it led me down a path. The enemy combatants you gave me for the born on natural or born and then also not subject to U.S. jurisdiction, and you specifically said that includes like enemy combatants, someone like warfare.
I think it's enemy combatants, diplomats, and
people
I think
on
the term at the
ship.
time
Public,
was a little inappropriate, but wild Indians. That's
wild Indians, but also people that are on public ships.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So one of the things I dove into was enemy combatants, and the concept of enemy combatants emerged prominently following September 11th, 2001, terrorist attacks leading to significant legal and ethical debates regarding their treatment. An enemy combatant is defined by the U.S. government as a fighter not affiliated with a recognized national military, which can include both U.S. citizens and foreign nationals. They are classified into lawful and unlawful categories, with unlawful enemy combatants being captured and held without due process, raising serious concerns among human rights. I think that in some degree, because that was defined earlier on and so on and so forth, you could in aspect, and I even kind of I didn't realize this kind of connected later, but you could bring up the idea of, are these enemy combatants of the U.S., are they a national threat? Is there some type of terrorist piece into it? Now, we may not know that, and we may say, well, they had no, hold on just a second.
Sorry.
We had no crime sheet, rap sheet, whatever, crime record, whatever, but maybe they are connected to other, actual enemies of America or so on and so forth, and therefore their rights to due process are being withheld. Now, in that same breath, that also
Whoa.
Hello? Whoa.
Wasn't me.
Okay. Am I still here?
Yeah, now you're
back.
Welcome to the Great Reset.
No, my whole everything just went dumbfounded. But with that also plays in tow of the children born of these people as well, and that follows right in. So if you utilized that exception exactly as it's been interpreted and lulled into it, then essentially that negates your concept of why are we deporting them to El Salvador and torturing, or why aren't we giving them due process, so on and so forth. But also, what about the children? If they are deemed as, enemy combatants, then that would roll into that as well. So that's the only thing I'm finding so far.
That's
only
real quick.
Yeah, I don't think it's the way that it works that you could just classify anybody as an enemy combatant and then that's just what it is. If that was the case, then the president could just remove due process from literally anybody by classifying them as an enemy combatant. That's just not how our legal system works.
And that's a great legal argument, but that's not even the legal argument Trump administration made, and the Supreme Court still said that the Trump administration was not giving these people enough due process.
No, it specifically said that it was pulled into January 20th, 25 executive order. That was the argument that he had. That was what was pulled into that.
Yeah, because MS-13 is now considered a terrorist organization.
I'm sorry. I thought that maybe I'm Reniel, maybe you're a bit more educated than I am, but I thought the Trump's legal argument during that for executive order was that MS-13 was affiliated with Venezuela. We were at war with Venezuela, and therefore I can
kind of.
Venezuelans.
And that's exactly the argument I'm giving.
So the argument that Trump gave is that there was top-down coordination from Maduro to Tren de Aragua, And since that is happening, Trinidad is perpetuating a predatory incursion into the country, and it has top-down directive from Venezuela, so it can be classified as a predatory incursion, and the Alien Enemies Act is basically invocable in times of predatory incursion. The main problem with that is that Donald Trump's own intelligence undermined that by saying that there's no evidence of coordination between Maduro and Venezuela, because it's going to be really hard to coordinate with a decentralized gang. So, I mean, Trump's own intelligence undermined him on that. So I would say, unless Donald Trump has somehow better intelligence than the FBI, the DHS, and the DOJ, I would say probably not. But I mean, yeah.
Enemy combatants, though. That isn't enemy combatants, though, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, it wouldn't be enemy.
Yeah,
And just to be clear here, the Supreme Court has ruled that people who are deported under the Alien Enemies Act have a right to file habeas corpus and a right to a notice of deportation. They have that due process. 2 times. Okay.
So, Rinyald, I really do, just out of my curiosity, want to know.
Yep.
So, do you think that Trump, when you say Trump is throwing people into torture camps with no due process, do you think that that was his goal and his intention, that he knew they were going to a torture camp, that he didn't want them to have due process because he wanted them to go to a torture camp regardless of whether they were innocent or not?
So, I mean, the fact that they weren't checking for due process, and the fact that Donald Trump said, you know, we need to do it as quickly as possible, and the fact that he called getting these people out as quickly as possible a bloody story, I would say probably yes to all of those. Either he was, or he was so grossly negligent that he might as well be like shitting all over himself when he goes to bed.
Yeah, like if you just want to say Trump,
so if you're
sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's okay. I mean, if you're going to say that he's evil, so you think he's just as evil whether he was grossly negligent or whether he was intentional?
I mean, I said this in my opening
let's be
statement.
clear.
I said this right at the outset. It's
Anyone who
possible
knows
that
how the
Donald
White
Trump
House
is either.
works,
Wait, hold on.
every single decision they have goes through the council. They know the implication of every decision. So yes, he is aware.
Yeah, that's true. But also, I said right at the outset, it's possible that he's not evil and that he's either just a retard or that he's a puppet of Stephen Miller. That's
Right,
possible, but I don't think that helps anything.
Yeah, again.
Well, no, I mean, does it change your definition of evil?
Yeah.
What if Trump is a retard? Change my definition of evil? No.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that someone is less morally culpable if they're just stupid?
Yeah, probably.
It's a fair question. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So, so don't you think that if you're going to call somebody evil, it would be good to know if they're being intentionally malicious or just stupid? I might even agree with you he's a fucking retard, but that might make him not evil, and you're here on a panel standing on the evil question.
Do you think that Donald Trump is such a retard that he disregarded everything that his advisor said? He disregarded the 2 State Department reports. He just coincidentally said the bloody story thing, I guess. He just coincidentally complimented Bukele.
You're sounding
on the
like
way
a
that he
conspiracy
handles the
theorist
gang
a little
members.
bit there, bud.
Okay, how am I sounding like a conspiracy theorist? What did I say was wrong?
Is this just a coincidence? Is it coincidentally? Is this what I don't like when they get caught up in rhetoric and you get into dog whistles and all that stuff?
That he knew about any of
it's
this.
either the very clear implication of all of his actions, or he's a brain dead retard that doesn't know
Do you
how
think
to.
he
put his
knew that they
family
were
on
going to
track.
go there to get
Ignorant, Eli.
tortured? Do you think he knew they were going to go there to get tortured?
There were 2 separate State Department reports saying that El Salvador was torturing the prisoners, right?
Was that before or after? And I'm genuinely curious. I
2022
don't
and
know.
2023.
Okay,
Donald Trump
gotcha.
did it in 2025.
And were and so those reports, like, was there any kind of investigation or anything like that?
As much investigation as you could get, yeah.
And I mean, are we talking an article? Was there a
Oh, man, you are
US
splitting
Department
hairs so
reports.
much. Come
Yeah,
on.
no, because
Department reports. Those are-
He's the president
Okay,
of
so
the
here's
United
what I wanna
States.
ask
Don't
you.
you think
No, let me
anyone
finish
on
my
the
line of
planet
questioning.
has the intelligence to know what the fuck's going on in the world? It's the president of the United States. Can we just not admit the president of the goddamn United States is probably the one human being on the planet who can have the ability
I
to
don't
know what's going on somewhere?
I don't know that the
just can't
president
know
knows
anything.
everything. I don't have a lot of faith in that, actually.
How do we even
in my
trust
own
our
personal
senses?
opinion.
How do we even trust our senses? If I saw
Well,
him say it,
here's
how
what-
do I know that I wasn't hallucinating?
Okay. Hey, you're kind of spurging, and I'm being very calm.
I know,
So
you're being
I have a question.
Disingenuous
That's what
ass.
you're doing. You're acting like a retard, but you're doing it really calmly. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm just
The
trying to
problem is
figure
you're
out what
saying
I'm just
President
trying
of
to
the
figure what
United
you
States had
believe
no
and what
idea
you
what was
believe it. If
going
that's
on.
me acting like a retard,
It
then
was just that retarded that
incredibly
he had
clear
no
on what I
idea.
believe. I'm incredibly
okay.
clear.
So if you're incredibly clear, so do you think Hitler was evil?
I already said yes. That was a
Yes.
bad
Okay. So
example.
is Trump just as evil as Hitler?
No.
Okay. So there's a sliding scale of evil.
Yes.
Alex, what's
What
your evidence
percentage-
that?
So
wait.
what percentage of evil is Trump compared to Hitler? 20, 30,
I
40,
need to
60?
hit an
Well,
exact
Eli
percentage
next.
in order to
What's
have
your-
He was the only one who brought up
definition.
Hitler.
Eli next. What's your evidence that Hitler knowingly started the concentration camps?
I don't know.
This is
Well, no,
I
you're
think
saying
he
he's.
didn't
Are you wait?
start
Eli,
them actually.
Eli next. Would you say that Hitler's evil?
Yeah.
It's
you
hilarious.
just said you
What's
didn't know
your,
that
what's
he-
your what's your
that he
evidence? What's
willfully
your
started the
evidence that? What's
concentration
your
camp.
wait? Okay, so Eli, what's your evidence that Hitler knowingly he did the concentration camp?
I actually think there probably is pretty strong evidence there.
Okay, what's your evidence?
Can you give any?
Yeah, come
Well,
on.
we can all crack open our World War II history
Okay,
books.
so
But yeah, I
no.
think
No,
that
wait. So you're
I think
making
that
a
he-
claim without
Yep,
any
okay.
evidence.
So
You're still claiming that he's evil.
So here's the thing. I know everyone's gonna do
Evidence?
this because here's what I'm
Evidence.
going to bring up. Let me get to my point. So it's a little bit more clear.
Please do.
I think that if you have a subjective view of what evil is, and I know it doesn't matter because you really want to talk politics and you're not here to talk metaphysics and the like, but you should be careful with that because I think that this Rinjald guy would be the first person to also say that abortion is not evil. Meanwhile, 50% of the population would. And if you're going to go around throwing that accusation out without any kind of standard, it's really not good for your case when you're
Okay,
actually.
That's why I
Wait,
let
actually,
you.
Questions.
wait,
Everybody
hold
can
on,
come
hold
out
on.
and throw their hands
Hold
in
on,
the air
hold
all
on.
they want. But
That's
it's-
why I
Cool.
let
So you have no
Wait,
point.
hold on,
Great.
please. That's why I let you define evil. I said we can work on your definition if you want to. You clearly have a very strong definition. We can work on that.
Yeah, I do.
And
I do,
before
but
we
it-
go
let's
into
work
your
on that definition.
definition,
What do you define as
Nate
evil?
says, well, he's not making the claim, right? Rinjald said that they're getting sent to El Salvador, who is putting people in torture camps without due process, then said El Salvador uses due process. Did I miss something?
He literally said El Salvador wasn't evil for it, but Trump is. So
Correct. Do you know why? Do you want to give the straw man as
Because
to
of the
why?
means that we used to get them there.
Was
So-
it because
but
Donald
Trump-
Trump
we're
gave them
torturing prisoners
One
and-
at a time. I can't hear all of you. Go ahead, Rinjald, because it's being shot at you.
Yeah, so the reason I said that is because Donald Trump was not giving the people an ability to challenge any accusation, and it seems like Bukele was for the most part. That's the difference. I don't know that was super clear. I
torture
don't
is
know.
not
I'm
inherently
usually the only
evil.
people that- What?
So torture is not inherently evil then. So you
We're
can
not-
use
we're
it
not
for
talking
torture in a
about
righteous way.
We're not talking about
hold on.
torture. We're talking about the due process. Jesus Christ.
Hold on. Whoa.
I already
Hang
said
on,
to
hang on.
Sarah that it's not. I already said to Sarah it was not
So
in the first hour.
Hang on. So the people that Bukele gave due process to, then
Who's
threw in
talking?
a prison with alleged torture,
Mhm.
should stay in the United States because why?
You're just missing the entire conversation. I don't know who you're arguing against.
Because why? Why
Because
did the
those
people
people
that Bukele gave
prison-
due process
we
to
sent them through the
stay in
prisons.
the United States?
They were not found guilty in El Salvador. They were Venezuelans.
Look, my whole point is that
What's
I
that-
wouldn't even be
that-
saying any of this if you just worded the prompt and claim differently. You shouldn't appropriate
I know, you're
highly
Can I ask-
philosophical and theological terms.
know-
Can I
about
ask
like
a
jerking
question,
off
Rinjald?
graphic,
What is
though.
the relationship between was it Venezuela and
Venezuela
El
and El
Salvador?
Salvador? There's
Yeah.
not. It was that Donald Trump found El Salvador was willing to take their prisoners, and they sent their prisoners there. That's it. But also, to be clear, I highly doubt that it's just my verbiage because I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Sarah, it was a very, very good debate between Andrew Wilson and RTP. And I recall that debate going down a very similar line, and it was just Trump is bad, or it was just illegal immigration. What was it? Does more harm than good. I have a very hard time saying that I would be able to find any topic that you guys wouldn't inevitably try to avoid all of the substance of and just go down to meta ethics. It's not. There's not a real topic that I could have chosen.
It's and look, I know some of us like Eli like to dwell on the left side of the bell curve for the most of our lives, but getting in reality here, certain people who are in certain positions of power, we have an expectation that they know certain things. I have an expectation that my manager knows the fucking schedule. I have an expectation that the president of the United States, it's going to be briefed on like the conditions of the prisons he's literally paying $6 million to send people to, and holding a press conference with the president and who's controlling those prisons. I think this is very simple. So,
I like your analogy. You bringing up the bell curve too, because it does seem like you guys are accounting for like 200 people who were deported out of El Salvador, not the 140,000 who were willfully deported back to their place of residence. So yeah,
What relevance
I've been
does that
looking
have?
this
We're talking
up.
about no due process.
I don't know if you need to be like diagnosed with schizophrenia. I don't know, like what.
I don't know who you're arguing with, Sarah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
The,
the problem isn't deportation.
Well, wait. So you said 140,000 people willingly deported themselves.
Self-deported.
Yeah.
Self-deported.
Self-deported.
Go for it.
So they
That's fine.
just left.
And
Yeah, it's
then
not even relevant to the conversation.
Yeah, it is because
well,
it's just
I mean,
about
that
If-
to me
if-
says that the United States said, "Hey, you should probably leave." That's a warning, right?
We're talking about due process. If people are getting denied a fundamental human right granted by the Constitution, that's different than people choosing to want to leave the country.
Hold on a second. If a warning shot was fired and they said, "You know what? All right, we'll just leave." And they self-deported, right? That's giving them more than maybe what they could have had, right?
And if the-
It's not what. Stop for a second.
And if-
Stop, boys. That's basically saying, hey, we're not gonna put you in jail right now. We're not gonna detain you and fuck your whole life up. We're giving you ample opportunity to fix and mitigate the situation on your own. And 140,000 of them took advantage of that. And we're like, to me, that speaks volumes.
That's
for them.
That's good for them.
Not,
It has nothing to do with
for
mine.
them.
That doesn't have to do with
I'm
the no
saying,
due process part.
oh my God. What I'm saying is that speaks volumes to that Rinyal, you were all about empathy and utilizing that piece. And this is an empathetic portion of the United States government being empathetic and saying, hey, look, you fucked up, kid, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of mercy here and let you freely choose to do the right thing before daddy has to lay the smack down. And you can do it by taking your money, selling your house, sell your car or whatever you need to do.
I
and
paid
do
for
it.
them.
Well, and this guy literally just
I
said
paid for their
torture is
ticket.
okay as long as you give them due
I
process.
paid for their ticket, but my
Look,
point
and
is,
I agree.
Yes,
you
that's not
guys,
evil.
you
Somebody
guys
said
are
that.
playing
That was
towards
addressed to
the
me.
ball.
I'm pretty. That was addressed to me, wasn't
That
it?
is the most empathetic fucking thing I think I've ever heard.
Was that?
And
that
you
was
guys are
addressed to
playing
me,
towards
right?
the bell
Oh my
curve.
God.
Okay,
So we
let me
are,
know
but
when I
we're
can
talking
talk.
about 200 immigrants opposed to like hundreds of thousands. So how are we going to say just because? Yes, I'm going to agree with you. I looked into it, and you're absolutely right. There's a lot of atrocious things that happen. But how is Trump supposed to know out of like hundreds of thousands of cases what happened with 200 people? Yes, it is very bad that happened. However, it's not the majority, and it's not his intention, and it was not the main practice of how people were.
You can report.
Well, and I want to touch on him saying that it
Okay,
wasn't
because
evil when
you're-
El Salvador did it.
Pile on the points. Fuck it. I mean, yeah, just if everyone
No.
wants to make their point against
Okay,
me, I'll
go
respond
ahead.
and take 2 hours. That's fine.
Sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead. My bad.
If we're empathetic to 200 people and then we murder 20, that doesn't outweigh the murdering of the 20, the fact that we were empathetic to 200 people. If this many people self-deported, that's good for them. That's fine. If the government didn't decide to send them to a torture camp, that's fine. Why did they send the 200? And the answer is that they signed the Alien Enemies Act. So to remove agency from Donald Trump when he signed the order to do it is ridiculous. He signed the Alien Enemies Act. He declared that it's a state of a predatory incursion. He paid Bukele $6 million in order to get them to hold them in CCOT. I don't know if these State Department reports were just hidden for the whole the entire fucking presidency. What are we like?
Look,
doing a good thing
Hey.
doesn't mitigate doing a bad thing. I don't.
Okay,
I
but
don't
what
understand
about
that.
this?
Look, I actually agree with Sarah here, right? Hitler gave the Jews plenty of time to immigrate out of Europe before he started the Holocaust. And personally, I think that shows a lot of his empathy that he had towards them.
I heard there were
It
swimming pools.
She's
shows
a
how much empathy
and a racist.
towards them.
I heard there were swimming pools and just wooden doors as well.
True.
Wasn't it
Michael
271,000?
coming in with the Big Ten and said, asses, I'm going to call you all ass hats. Spend some money and show Sarah you appreciate her. Just a shout out. Listen, I put a goal in the chat. I put it for 30 minutes. You now have 20 minutes, and I didn't even make it a high one either. Okay. So come on, you can figure it out, or else I go to bed. I have been up since very early this morning, and I did not get my little afternoon nappy poo because I had a very long day. I didn't even leave work till after 6 p.m. I got home. I took a phone call that I needed to take, and I got a shower, and now I'm here. So I am fucking tired. And quite frankly, this whole fucking panel is evil. So if you want to keep it going, I will make some more coffee, because the fact that you all talk over me. I will
What's your
make some more
meta-ethical stance on us?
coffee. Well, I think it's rude to overtalk somebody. But I will go make some more coffee, and we will power hour through the DGen power hour together as true champions. This is Mater fucking Nation. But if you don't hit the goal, I'm just going to sit here and nag, and then I'll shut it down, and you'll all have fun. So follow Michael's lead on that part, not anything else he said this evening. But that part, I think that's a hefty statement, and we can all get behind it. Thank you. All right. Rinald, back to you, sir.
Yeah, I'm just really glad that I could lay out that Donald Trump does want to uproot democracy, did successfully send people with no due process to a torture camp, did appoint a race realist to his senior advisor role, did show callous disrespect to Vice President Pence whenever the advisor came into the office and said, "Hey, they just ushered Mike Pence into evacuation, and your supporters are chanting to hang him." And he was like, "So what? Okay, we all agree that happened. We just want to focus on my meta ethics. There's no engagement on any of the actual material. We don't want to talk about anything real. We just want to talk about how I feel about it. That's fine. We can do that another time." I don't know if maybe the title got mistranslated. If Trump is evil in a different language means grill me about utilitarianism for 3 hours. I don't know if that was the topic. I want to talk about the material. Everyone has some reason has a aversion from doing that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just
why is it not evil if El Salvador tortures people, but they give them due process first?
I said I don't know if I would call it evil. I don't know.
No, you said it's not evil. I know we can go back and say that. I said, is it evil when they do it? And you said no.
From me, buddy. You're really good at pulling quotes.
This one I'm more certain of. I asked you, is it evil when they do it? And you said no. It was a clear answer.
Yeah, well, I was screaming. Yeah, I may have said no. If I said no, I don't believe that. I said I don't have an opinion on it. And I'm pretty sure I said exactly that to Sarah.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't want to get too lost in the weeds either. I'm just throwing out, critiques to make sure that, we make ourselves think, about the things that we say. You got to be able to stand on them. I'm stirring the pot. I ain't going to lie. But
I don't
it's fun.
Well, and Rinald, I mean, I know you say you don't want to get stuck in the meta ethics, but even at holding a claim, why do you think such and such is bad, or, so on and so forth? We would need, who dropped?
I think it was Cringy. It's probably internet stuff again.
Was he raising his hand or stretching?
I want to give him. Okay, there he is. All right, I wanted to make sure I give him a second before I filled the space. All right, but the reason why we ask, where does your morality come from, is because to say, even if you just said Trump is bad for society, Trump is harmful society, Trump's deportations harm society, I would want to know, well, why is it harmful? And if it's harmful, let's define what we mean by harmful, because I think, going for a jog is harmful. It's fucking harmful. But, somebody else could be like, well, it's actually not. It could be good. But to me, I think don't even ask me to. You belong in hell if you demand that.
Again, I mean, I was being very charitable. I said, if you guys want to give a definition, I'm sure Donald Trump fits into it. I was letting anybody, we don't need to work on my definition, because my definition is probably somewhat subjective. I don't spend all day thinking about meta ethics, and I acknowledge that. So that's not the kind of conversation. I don't want to torture everybody by going through that. So I'm saying you can provide your own definition, and I almost guarantee he falls in it.
I can.
Hold on. The reason why is because you are making the claim. So we want to understand the entirety of the worldview, so we can take that definition of what you mean by evil and apply it upward and ask more questions based on that definition. So we're getting to the root. That way we can extract and pull it back up to apply to all of the bigger stuff.
I don't know if my entire worldview is
or it's a diversionary tactic, so we don't actually speak about the evil things he's done.
Why?
Yeah, I'm not.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I don't feel as if
I mean,
my
if
entire
you're not defining
worldview.
evil, then what is it?
I don't think. Wait, hold on, please. That was addressed to me, please. I don't think that this topic, or at least I wasn't intending this topic to mean my entire worldview is on display here. I'm here to talk about, and we can define it however you guys want to. I'm here to talk about Donald Trump. I'm here to talk about the actions that Donald Trump took, Donald Trump's policies, and how I believe that using almost any definition of evil, it fits in it. I don't understand why my whole entire worldview needs to be tacked onto in order to avoid talking about any of the material that actually backs any of this up.
Well, you know how I asked you if you also think Hitler is evil? And then I said, well, is he on the same level of Hitler? And you said no. Well, when you have a prompt that says Trump is evil, and one of the first people that people think about when they hear evil is Hitler, you're kind of saying Trump is like Hitler. But if it's not, you need to be a little bit more specific with that. You can shake your head no, but it's true.
Okay,
I mean,
sorry, yeah, the topic should have been Trump is evil, but not as evil as Hitler. That was my bad.
The definition, most of, or a lot of us who are
you guys can laugh, but it's actually, like Sarah pointed out, it is actually bound up in how you take things and what you mean by them. You can pretend like your words don't matter.
This entire conversation could have been diverted if we just went off of your definition. I asked you for a definition right at the get-go.
It's not our definition,
all of this.
though. It's not.
And that's why I asked you about.
Hold on. Nix, maybe this will help. Rinyal did say, because I asked him this in the very beginning, and he said he goes based off a utilitarianism morality system. So that's where you can take the worldview and break it down. And there were a few pieces where I said, well, utilitarian wise, like that actually wouldn't be a net benefit, right? So, and he specifically said positive consequentials, would be the net benefit of people overall. That would be where he would derive his morality system from. So take that, Nix, and then we're going to say, okay, well, what is evil based on that? Evil would be negative consequence overall, net negative, like general welfare would not be in a benefit.
On top of that,
that's how he's defining evil versus good. Is it has to be a net benefit for you to consider it to be good.
I also feel like I don't know what the point of the first hour is if we're just going to go based off of the 3-word topic that I gave and not give any of the context that I gave prior. I feel like I said pretty clearly in the hour opening that we gave with nobody here that I'm not going to stick super hard to my meta ethics. I don't have a super strong meta ethical grounding, and we could probably define Trump as evil using almost any definition of evil. I said that right at the very beginning. If that's not the kind of conversation you want to engage in,
that's a huge accusation and a huge. You're acting like we all just kind of would agree on this, and I'm calling that into question.
I'm not saying that we all agree Trump is evil. I'm saying
that's why he was asking you to define so he could show it to you.
Trump can be evil using that any definition that you could give of evil. That's what I'm saying. So if you want to give a definition, we can fit it in. That's fine.
Well, let's go into the 200 people who got sent to El Salvador.
I would
right,
love to.
and we're gonna utilize your utilitarian viewpoint. And is it a net gain for overall of society for 200 people to be sent to El Salvador? With the presumptions that they don't have a criminal record and they are being tortured. Eli, I'll leave it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, so I would say that if 200 people are being tortured innocently, what you get into with the problem of what you're bringing up is if there is an objective morality and this is an atrocity, right, then you could say, okay, this is a crime against humanity per se. Again, we'd have to nail down the facts and what all this means. But if your moral standard is just a benefit of society and just what benefits and makes everything, happy and good GDP and all of that, then you don't really have a basis to call it evil if that's what you're basing it on.
I'm sorry.
You said we can nail down the facts. Can we nail down the facts? We can do that.
Well, I know. I think, and that's another point. You know, you're complaining about whenever we bring up the metaphysics and saying that you didn't want to talk about any of that. But I'd say that the biggest bulk of this open panel had nothing to do with that, and we're just now getting to this point. But you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the biggest bulk of this panel had to do with Ryan calling Sarah racist. I haven't gotten to talk about any material shit at all.
Fair enough. But you can't act like like this is all that we're sticking on. And you know, I'm trying to find a place where this works into. You know what I think that really you're just using evil as kind of like I think he's evil because you know I really don't like him.
Well, then deal with his definition instead of going, you don't believe my religion, therefore you can't make moral claims. It's a fucking broken record, man.
Man, everybody gets so
hold on,
triggered
Eli
so easily.
can
It's
work.
crazy.
Hold on, Eli, you can work within Rinyald's worldview. So that's a utilitarianism perspective. You could utilize that. Consequentialism is the morality of actions that are judged solely by its outcomes and not by intentions or means to use, which I would flip that and say, Rinyald, you're saying that Trump is doing this with ill intent, and you're actually ignoring the fact that there's an overall positive consequence, that an outcome that comes from this. And I would say the overall outcome is that the precedence is being standardized across the board to let other illegals know that jumping our borders, coming into our country, utilizing our resources and all of these other things is bad. Get the fuck out. We're not fucking around, right? And if you want a little fuck around, you can find out. I think that's an overall good. And then also utilitarianism is based on happiness. I think we could go and look at a worldview or not a worldview, a societal standpoint and ask, are you happy right now that, 200 people, are you sad right now that 200 people, I think most people would probably be like, I don't really give a fuck. I ain't even mad. Whatever, shit happens. Not me, not my problem.
I would reject that having a society where the government can just make an accusation against you and then torture you for it is a better society. I don't think that results in net benefit utility.
I would also like to
especially
raise
under
the
any
point.
any form, and especially under any form of rule utilitarianism, breaking rules under rule utilitarianism.
Rule utilitarianism is retarded. It just falls into.
What? No,
but it
let
doesn't
me
matter. We can have
interrupt
that
for
conversation
just
later.
one moment. Chat, you still have 7 minutes to get that goal. You need 7. You got 7 minutes and 7 more goals to hit, or else I'm going to be hitting the pillow with my head happily, mind you. Or I can go be hitting the coffee pot. Your choice, whether you want to continue this conversation or not. Choose wisely. All right, back to you, Rennie.
It's been such a great conversation.
Eli, do you think that things can be
Wait,
morally
can I
good
go?
or
I've been trying
bad?
to say something for a little bit there.
Oh,
Hex.
sorry. It was Azrael that was talking. I do
Give me a
apologize.
second, dog.
Hex does not talk at all.
Your claim is under utilitarianism, which is good versus bad. Could something be good and evil at the same time? So good for the community, good for the consensus. Could everyone agree it's good and still be evil at the same time?
Good under consensus isn't the bar that I use. It'd just be net utility for the most amount of people.
Yeah, exactly. So could something be good but evil at the same time?
Well, you're judging one of the goods as
morally neutral.
Societal consensus. That's not one of the bars that I use.
Well, what is good then?
What is good
You
is
just said what's the best,
what
what
results in most
maximizes
utility.
What maximizes the most utility? Let's say how we believe right now, abortion is good because it maximizes utility. However, under my definition, it's evil. So it's both good and evil. So you're saying that Trump is evil. Therefore, you want to work under utilitarianism framework. However, utilitarianism does not work under an evil framework because things can be good and evil.
One of the least productive conversations we can have. We can work under your definition. This is literally what I've been saying the entire time. I don't want to talk. My worldview is not
Let me get my definition. Don't spurg out. Calm down.
Hold on. Not only that, Rinyald, you have to root it before you can extract upwards. You have to. If you're telling me
upwards in this debate,
okay, it's
because you made the claim.
Because
dude.
It comes down to the root of your base level of what you're saying. And what we want to ensure is that applies holistically around at everything that you're saying. So when you say one thing here and you say one thing there and you say one thing here, it gets all razzle dazzled and all pretty on those individual pieces. But when you take that that root base and you bring it upward, ties everything together, and then it can either make or break your argument. So what we're
Now-
trying to do is establish the baseline.
Do you
Yeah,
think
I'm
perhaps
taking-
it's
I'm taking your
also,
house
do you
down
think
from-
perhaps
from
it's
the
instead
foundation.
that these people
No, I'm
don't
with Renyo
actually
on
want
this
to
one.
engage with any of the
I'm sure you are,
things that
FG.
Donald
They
Trump's
want.
doing?
Open it in a
Hold on,
time.
hold on, hold on,
Here's
hold
the
on, hold on,
problem.
hold on, hold
Actually
on.
wanna
They
talk about any of
want
the
to.
material?
They want to, but they
No, they
want to under.
No, they
hold-
don't.
Hold
No,
on,
they
The
Renyo.
dude in the hat, the dude in the hat
No,
literally
they
says he
don't.
doesn't know about politics.
Hold
He
on.
literally said that. He literally said he wants to come up and ask me about the definition of evil, and that he doesn't
Yeah.
know about politics. This is
Hold
obviously
on.
what he's here for.
Renyo, wait. If we get through this part really, really fast, we can move the fuck on. Everybody gets stuck in that. This is what always, okay, and I'll just say it. This is where everybody gets hung up. Well, I don't want to define it. Why do you need to define it? I don't claim this morality standpoint or that, or I don't even care about the whatever. And that's where everybody gets stuck. And then we can't move the fuck on because they don't want to establish their definition. They don't want to own it. They don't want to.
Absolutely,
Exactly.
we can
Wait, I'm sorry.
absolutely
We-
move
we-
on.
we
with
already
his
went down this
definition.
road.
I'm
All right,
giving
I'll
you
define it.
the road.
You want me to
wait,
define
wait,
it?
wait,
I'll
wait.
talk
Gave a
in 2 seconds.
definition.
Just
Okay, wait, I'm
figure
just-
it out. I'll
wait.
define it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
also,
sorry.
Figure it out.
I'm
give a
sorry.
definition.
Just stop.
Hold
Just
on, I
Let
have
Hex
to
talk. Let Hex talk. Hex
Do
is
you
not talking
guys
at all.
think that
Let me
moral
talk.
rights and wrongs exist?
I'll define it.
Hold on, do you guys say
Yes.
moral rights and wrongs? Okay. Do you
Oh my
think
God.
that the definition of that Renyo gave of evil is sufficient?
He never gave a definition. I'll
He did give a
one if he
definition
wants
twice.
to.
He
He
gave
gave
a
a
definition
in his
twice.
opening statement. Can I
Didn't
get?
watch
Can
the-
I?
You didn't watch the opening.
So,
You think it's sufficient?
Can we repeat
What- give your
that
definition
definition
evil
from the
one more
opening
time?
statement again? Yeah, one more time for the
I
audience.
think evil is something that is wildly immoral that causes unnecessary pain.
That begs the question, though, to say that evil is immoral. That's a question.
It's a
begging
large
statement.
amount
It
of
does.
immoral action. It's a large amount of immoral action.
It goes back to Sarah's analogy earlier.
a
What
little-
if,
so
what if
some
I think going to the
moral
gym
action
causes
isn't
pain,
Yes.
and I think it's immoral to go to the gym?
Yes, a little bit of immoral
enough.
action is not evil. Yes, that's welcome to anybody's definition
So,
of evil.
so a little, so a little bit of grape isn't evil.
Oh my
There's-
god.
There's no little bit of grape.
Oh my God! I only
There's
have
rape,
to
and
define.
there's no
what
rape.
I
Can
said.
you stop obfuscating and just engage with the actual substance of his points?
I am, and then
No,
he
they
swerves
can't, 'cause
out
it's
and
to
says
go
he
down
wants
the
to talk
exact
about
same
something
road.
You
They're gonna
haven't-
get the
you
exact same
haven't
definition.
engaged.
Saying you cannot make moral claims without their religion.
Hold on.
Exact same place.
This is important. Stop.
He's right. I
Chat,
agree.
stop. Chat, you have exactly actually less than 2 minutes now, because everybody wouldn't shut the fuck up, to get 4 more super chats in, or I'm going to fucking bed, and we don't get to hear this Spurg session continue any further. Your choice. A minute 30. You figure it out.
If you want to
This whole
reiterate
whole
this,
time I've been
Rose,
here.
Stop dragging us down to the depths of
What was-
stupidity. We can have this
No,
conversation.
I did come here to be a thorn in his
Your
side.
ad homs at the
I did.
time,
What was
you're really good at them, but
insufficient?
you're actually not good at arguing
Okay,
points.
what
Just
was
forget about it.
insufficient about Renyo's descriptive definition of what evil is?
I just pointed it out because
Well,
I, liter-
Can
I
you
literally
make a
just pointed out what's
prescription
inefficient
of-
about it.
Can you make a definition that what ought to be evil?
Sure,
Yeah.
I've
Ought to be
offered you
defined as
multiple
evil?
times, but you guys keep talking. Every time I do
Okay.
anything that opposes God in contrary to His nature or deviates from His will, I'm sure both Nex and I would agree on that.
Great,
If
so
you would like to
natural
run
law.
with that definition, then we can
Do you
continue with it.
think
Otherwise, give us the
do you
definition.
think
Wait, wait.
sending
is
people to
adequate.
torture camps? Do you think sending people to torture camps without due process would be against the natural law?
Against, I'm not talking natural law theory here. I'm
Again,
talking about the
God,
nature
God, and
of
what would go
God.
against God's nature, of God's essence, and what would be a reflection
That's
of God?
not
What would be
natural law. That's the nature of God. God has.
What would go against the essence of natural of God's
Again, well, here's the problem:
innate
is that would
essence would be
include
natural.
intentionally doing that, and he already admitted that it might not be the case that he did it intentionally.
Yeah.
So that was
There
the
is
foundation.
contention
is the
that-
framing. So the
Could be brain
contention
dead.
is the framing, right? You don't. You disagree with the fact that he is sending people to torture camps without due process.
Wait, Eli,
No, wait,
is
wait.
it logically
No, is he
possible that Trump could
intentionally
have done
doing
it
it? Because you're
intentionally?
saying he's
15
evil. therefore
seconds,
he's
chat.
He's
No,
intentionally
Eli,
doing
no,
evil
Eli,
things.
is it logically possible that Trump could have done it intentionally?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Clipped.
Is it logically possible that he did it unintentionally?
Gotcha. Okay.
Did it?
Yeah,
Is it
that
logically
was
possible?
an own, dude. You're
Is it logically possible that he done it
Are you
unintentionally?
even old enough to buy a beer, dude? Like, what are you-
He's definitely
This is
not.
super important, by the way.
There we go.
They both literally just
did
admitted
it
that they were
unintentionally.
literally.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
They just admitted their whole contention was that framing.
people. That's why it's stupid.
Nobody's ever been.
They came here to
convinced
derail
by
and they know
evidence.
nothing about
All
politics.
right,
That's
I'm
why they
gonna
do it.
hold on.
No. I gotta
This
say
is
one thing to that.
logistics. I'll hand it back. Chat, you kind of fucked it up. You didn't make the goal. I've been telling you for the last half hour, and you literally wait until the last 30 seconds to send the super chat just for the goal to end right before the super chat. Fix it. Give me a reason to forgive you right now, because I think you're all evil based on
Almighty Nate.
Rinyald, based on Rinyald. Utilitarian. It is better for everyone, and it makes me happy.
True.
When
Yeah, we need an hour more of them trying to convince me of God before we can know
Give
anything.
Sarah
This is so cringe,
money.
Low
I think we should-
IQ, strong
hold on,
man.
stop. I think we should remove. I don't think
in your direction.
Nix. I don't think we should move into Nix's worldview. I think Eli should work out of your worldview, and Eli, that would actually be the best way to combat this, is to use his own worldview against him. I think I'm probably showing backwards on here, but whatever.
Yeah.
But that's how I would do it if I were you. But
I know.
But yeah, this is the time where you get concise, precise, and to the point, Eli, and then you extract.
It's funny
Okay,
because
I'm just
Hex
gonna- I just really quickly
engaged in
says-
something. Hex almost
think
engaged in
this-
something useful by using their definition, and then they had to not engage
I think
with
this
it.
was, I think this was all cleared up when they agreed to the fact that if Donald Trump were to be doing no due process while sending them to a torture camp, they said that would be evil. So clearly, the contention is not with what is evil or if evil exists or meta. It's the framing and what actually happened. So what in the actual argument do you disagree with the Reynolds?
I actually didn't answer the question. So if these individuals are evil themselves, them getting tortured was 100% within religious framework. People are going to go to hell eternally separated from God. Therefore, they're going to get tortured for eternity. So is it
By religious
within
morals.
Trump's framework? If these people are doing evil, then yes. And if Trump knew that they are doing evil and he's still there, then no. If he did not know, let me finish. If he did it unknowingly, then maybe he's evil. But you now need to prove he did it knowingly, which you really can't do.
I have a question on that. Is Jeffrey Dahmer, who confessed to a priest and then got baptized, now in heaven or hell?
I'm not the arbiter of who goes to heaven and hell. You're gonna
Great.
have to
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Why are you the arbiter of good and bad? Wait, why are you the arbiter of good and bad then?
I'm not. I'm giving you a definition based upon my religious views.
Could you make a reasonable guess?
Determine if he's
Could
in
you make
hell
a
or
reasonable
heaven or
guess whether he's in heaven or hell?
I think the only person claiming to be the arbiter between good and bad is the person making claims of who, as an individual, is evil and is not. So be careful before you start throwing out those accusations.
Nobody ever has
Hold
been
on,
convinced.
one at a
Framing,
time.
but who knows why?
Go ahead, Raymond.
Can we
The
please talk
Shade
about
Master, sorry, Kay. The Shade Master says, if I define patriarchal protectionism as good, how is Trump evil?
the $10 are good?
$10 is great.
And like Sarah's saying, to utilitarianism, I don't think you ever really addressed her question. I mean, you can say, "Oh my God," but he's the one claiming utilitarianism. If it only was pragmatic. Yeah. If it's
I want to
only
hear
was-
this.
You're
No,
talking
let
to
him
me?
answer let Rinyald answer the super chat.
The super chat. I see.
I
Forget
don't
it.
think anybody. I think to define terms, you usually have to go based off of an agreed upon definition of it. That's not an agreed upon definition. No one holds that belief. So
I agree with
whoever's
it.
it's trolling.
No, I think, and pretty much every human being understands what patriarchal protectionism is. The
Yeah, that's
castle
the thing that I
doctrine
thought
has been, it's from the dawn, it's from the cave. Okay,
Yeah,
we don't need to define that. We know what it is. I define patriarchal protectionism as good, and if I hold that as good, how is Trump evil? That's what I want to know.
I answered. I just don't know if you knew I was following when I said that we all have an agreed upon definition, or we all have an agreed upon definition. I wasn't talking about patriarchal protectionism. We all have an agreed upon definition of good. There's some variances, but I mean, this is not one of them. No one uses the term like this. It's the death of language.
when we say the
No,
word,
I think most humans do. I think most humans across most societies, that's their definition.
Well, I
That
don't
is
think
how
you know a
most
lot.
societies hold their societies in coherency. That's how they maintain structure. That's how
we
they
have,
maintain.
we have descriptive use,
let
which is
me-
what a
wait,
dictionary
let me-
is.
When you say words like good or evil, like we're trying to invoke concepts of like good, bad, evil in people's minds. We all understand this conceptually. Like if you don't understand what you're saying, like you're engaging.
No, we
bad,
don't.
Yes, you do. If you don't
Yes, you
understand this,
do. You're just
I don't.
being dishonest.
If you don't understand this conceptually, you're engaging in bad
Yeah,
faith. Like,
this
don't
sounds
understand-
like
Nobody-
young people
nobody-
talking.
nobody-
that,
Wait,
uh,
real quick,
Maybe speaking from very little life experience.
Okay, hold on. Did we all get stupid in the last 20 seconds?
Apparently.
A couple of them have.
Okay, now I know we have.
The
I know
left
we
looks
have. I know we have a few newbies to the panel tonight, and I love that, and I'd love for all of you to come back. But my number fucking one rule is what? Somebody please say it.
No interruptions.
Thank you, Rinyald. Now that you all have been clearly informed, I hope going forward I don't have to mom your asses like a fucking child and toddler and tard with a fucking talking stick or sending you to the back or chiding you like a dork. Okay. Back to you, panel.
Nobody's
Okay.
ever been convinced by meta-ethical argument ever. This is
They
just
don't-
not happening. Nobody.
He
doesn't happen.
already. Just to be clear, we all agree again. We all agree again. I don't know anything about politics. I came here to ask you about your definition of evil. This is the whole point. The
You don't know
diverge
anything
from
about
any
politics.
actual substance. I gave 4 points.
You won't
got stuck
accept
on
it,
one because I said, do you disagree with my framing? And he said, well, I want to talk about your definition of evil. I was like, okay, can we talk about my framing? And he was like, no, I want to talk about metaethics. So I don't understand why we don't want to talk about my framing. For some reason, you believe it's incorrect, but you have no way to push back against it because I think you'll get cooked on it. You just want to do everything you can to push it all into a presuppositional God argument, and it's fucking retarded. I don't know why. That's not what this panel is
Well,
here
what
for.
I think is fucking retarded is to use the
No,
word evil as a
Let's give the
buzzword
gentleman
in
waving
a
his hand a
clickbait.
try.
Yeah, I don't care what you think is retarded.
Let's give the man waving his hand a try.
Very basic, very basic.
Okamos.
Wait, and this is going to be sound a little off topic, but it's on topic. Okay,
great.
from the last super chat. Okay, if I go out to a soup kitchen and I help people, homeless people, look at food, would we all agree that that is a good thing?
What do you mean by good?
Obviously not.
What is
Good doesn't make sense.
actually,
If I-
It's like, you
hold
guys are
on, hold on.
Look,
Obvious.
If you are the weakest
Continue
link,
on.
if you are the weakest link of a society and the society has to spend extra resources that it could be tapping into produce, I'm dead serious. If you want to do this, we can go into the med
Well, your own-
this.
If I save a child, if I save a child from drowning, is that a good thing?
Child is the child
No.
maybe Hitler? You know, it depends
No,
on
it's
your
not Hitler.
definition
It's a
of good in
regular-
the
it's a
context.
regular-
No, it's just
Funny you mention that when you guys are
That's
just
the
making
thing.
social Darwinist
Holy
arguments.
shit.
Shit.
If I
Hang
save
on.
a child, no, please, to
Jesus.
the panel, if I save a child who's going to grow up and have a normal life from drowning, is that a good thing?
Yes.
Okay. If I then go out and I murder 30 people, is that a bad thing?
Yes.
Depends.
Okay. So just because I did one good thing doesn't mean I'm a good person, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that super chat was dumb because it was only referencing one thing you guys would see that was good, even though Reniel brought up multiple other examples he would consider Trump as evil. Okay.
It would be
Okay,
over
no, no, no,
encompassing.
let me-
It would be over encompassing, and here's why. And after this, I have to boot you to the back. I'll give you an opportunity to respond to what I'm saying. Patriarchal protectionism would be the same thing as your child goes to touch the stove and you smack the kid's hand and say, no, that's hot, don't touch that, right? You smack their hand because you need to get their hand out of the way, but inevitably you're saving them from burning their fingers off, right? Patriarchal protectionism is I have to do some damage, but it is for the overall protection of you. Like I'm telling you no, or I'm doing something you may not be happy with, but it has to happen for your overall good.
I don't like my point. I don't.
Patriarchal protectionism. That's what you were talking
Like, if
about,
you wanna,
right?
Like my entire point was conceding. Okay, let's concede patriarchal protectionism is a good thing.
Right, but
Reniel,
you're saying
muted.
just because
Reniel, you're
somebody
muted.
he might be talking to his audience.
Definitely talking
If you're saying that, oh well, just because he does this good thing, or these good things and then he does that one bad thing, does that still mean he's overall good? But it's not encompassing of the concept of patriarchal protectionism. Sometimes we have to do things that, like a parent, we have to say and do things that we don't even like doing it, but it's for your own good, kid, right? Like that's what that concept stands behind. It doesn't mean that it's like good versus bad. It's we have to do things that you're not going to like because we love you and we want to protect you.
Yeah, but Sarah, doesn't the
That
same
wasn't my-
principle
that wasn't my
apply as
argument.
whether
That actually-
you
wait,
smack them,
can
you
I-
beat them bloody?
Can I
What's the
respond?
difference in that in
Can I-
your
can I respond?
analogy?
Just real quick.
Is he beating people bloody?
Wait. Can I? My
Well,
argument had nothing.
hang on,
My,
in
my
this
argument,
analogy, though,
Okay, my
is
argument.
it even your own kid that you're beating?
My argument assumed that
question.
patriarchal protectionism was good. That's what my argument was. And then after that, I said, well, even if I accept that he did one good thing, he still did all these other evil things, so we would generally define him as evil. That's why I said, even if I saved one child from drowning, and me murdering 30 other people would still make me an evil person.
That's not
I welcome to the Christian
patriarchal
faith, where
protectionism.
everyone-
Let me explain this a little bit
That's
better.
not
So,
what that is.
Just draw me.
like,
Whatever.
so, like, is
Hold
it
on.
bad to hit your kid? Just in general, one
Yes.
might
Yeah,
say
generally.
yes. Okay, now if you're doing so within the context of patriarchal protectionism as a form of discipline, all of a sudden it maybe isn't as bad because it's a form of discipline. Now I might be wrong,
Still
but I think
bad.
that's where we're getting.
Yeah, still bad.
Okay. So again, so then you don't just agree that patriarchal protectionism is good.
That
Like
was
you-
racist.
Seems like
If
just
by
one last
patriarchal
one.
protectionism
Behavior is
I just
you
wanted to-
mean
that was
child
actually-
abuse,
Judgment.
That's actually
no, child abuse is bad.
That's
Yeah.
actually a rate. That's
You
actually
can call it whatever you
racist
want. I don't
people
care.
comment. So the DI higher back to the back scratch.
I mean,
Damn.
brass tacks to this is that everybody
All
everybody
right.
in this conversation
Yeah.
understands the definition of evil. Everyone understands and conceptualize what we mean by evil. If you don't understand it, and get you by faith. Nobody's ever been convinced by any meta ethical argument. I
Well,
don't even know what you're
Just saying someone's
I think
bad
miss
faith
you
does
guys.
not make them bad faith.
I think this is what's-
definition of evil
Ryan,
is different
save
because
us.
We come from a different epistemic view. It's simple as that, brother.
Or at least
That's all we're
try.
trying to
They
say.
came in saying, I don't know much about politics. I want to talk about your definition of evil. By the way,
Hey,
these
let's
are the
not
people
say
that are
faith.
not engaging in bad faith, by the way.
Well,
just
let's not
to
say
be clear.
faith.
Me
All right,
being
let's
honest,
go
how
to
is that
Repeating
bad
quote.
faith? Me
You
being
were
fucking
Repeating that
honest,
quote. Yeah.
you're
The
just
chat-
spurging out.
The chat has spoken. Kokomo says, all I've heard is that everything is Orange Man bad. I hope Rinyald has his home available for illegal criminals to house them. That was the point of the El Salvador deal.
Again, I would
Rinyald,
love
to you.
I would love to talk about the substance of any of this, but beforehand, we need to talk about whether or not atheists can ground their moral beliefs. I didn't know that you would need to
Yeah.
do that before every fucking conversation that you ever have. But by the way,
Eli-
I would love to engage on any
Hey,
of that.
Jack,
but I
stop being a
can't.
clown.
Yes, I need to call him out on this because he calls me
Oh my
bad
God.
faith for being honest.
You are
about
bad faith.
what-
You're incredibly bad
You
faith.
are
It's crazy.
incredibly.
What
Wait,
universe?
hang on.
dude?
There's a way to we can find some ground here because I think Eli is being good faith, but he's because he genuinely
You do?
believes what he's saying, right?
Oh,
Like,
no.
he's bought into this worldview where you do have to, or it is a
No.
reasonable thing to do to hang on. It's a reasonable thing to do to like force someone to ground out their entire like moral and metaphysical
God.
worldview to be able to engage with whether or not they think something's good or bad.
Eli speaks for Eli
Instead
for
of
a
a real
second.
regular conversation with people where you can just say, I think these lay out a few claims and say these things are happening. Do we agree they're happening? And then you can say, I think they're bad, and other people can say, okay, I actually don't think they're bad, and you can just disagree about whether or not those things are good and bad, and that's fine. You don't have to ground out your metaphysical whatever bullshit. You can just describe the things that are happening and then express an opinion about whether they're good
Sure.
or bad. That's perfectly reasonable to do.
How can you know that
Sure.
it's
Liberals love
happening?
to
if you
do
don't
this.
trust your
Hold on.
senses?
No, let me just get in here and talk straight to Geranold or whatever his name is, Rinyald. Okay, so you're calling me bad faith for being honest about my position that, yeah, I came on here to be a thorn on your side. Yeah, I came on here to make you back up the claim that you chose So either you admit I used evil as a clickbait buzzword to trigger the maggots and, be super edgy, or you actually have a substantial means of which you decide between what is good and evil, and it's actually justified and it actually makes sense. But for a guy to come on here and say, yeah, I'm not really a politics guy, but I want to call you out on that and go, he's so bad faith, he doesn't want to debate rigorous policy with me, he wants to call me out on my own claim. That's bad faith on you.
Yeah, it's
freaking Harry Pothead looking motherfucker.
It's a little strange. Yeah, I'm spurging out. Let me do more personal insults, buddy. Okay, it's a little strange to come on a panel about the current president. Yeah, I know, because you are retarded. That's not a personal appearance. That's
And
just
he
a
called
fact.
you like a
Well,
long-haired brother, bro.
I think I'm a very good person. So when you come at my intentions in a debate, when I'm really just genuinely trying to make you think, because maybe you don't think about stuff enough, I think that's wrong to do.
I don't understand why you would come onto a panel about the current president who is operating the entire political body of the country and grill me on a term that the entire fucking
that you
population
use
understands.
in your claim, in your problem.
Yeah,
why would you grill me on a term that you're not thinking it's fine? You've been bitching about it the whole night, you crybaby.
You agreed that Donald Trump fell within your definition of evil. You walked it back right as soon as you knew that you could grill me on precept. But you agreed that Donald Trump, if it's true that we were sending people with no due process to a torture camp, that it would be evil. I want you to fight me on the way that I'm framing that, but you refuse to. Why?
Well, because I think that there's a lot I think that there's a lot bound up in such a big claim. I think if you were going to say anything of that sort, that you would need to back it up. And when I bring up intention, is it just as evil if it was intentional versus not? You started walking back and saying, well, maybe I said in my statement he could just be retarded. And I said, is it less evil if he was retarded? And you said no. So I want to question you on that.
Yes, I said it is.
Okay,
it is
well,
more. Yeah, I said it is less immoral if you're just retarded.
So if it is less immoral, so then with certitude, or at least some kind of...
Why are you not attacking my framing of the situation?
I am. I'm wanting to know, how do you know that it was purely intentional?
That it was
in the way that we described it. That it was purely intentional, that he wanted innocent people to suffer.
Donald Trump said in a speech, and getting them out will be a bloody story. Should have never come into the country. Nobody checked. Were they criminals? Were they from jails? Were they pouring out of the jails? We have the worst criminals in all of these countries. They're in our country, and if you come back, you will be executed. You will be killed immediately. It's not going to be easy, but you'll do it. Does that sound like somebody who is going through all of the rigorous checks?
Does that sound like somebody that wants to torture innocent people?
Yes.
Or does that... What part of that sentence implied torturing innocent people? He said, if you come back, and I need to check this quote, but let's just work with it. If he said, if you come back, you'll be executed. Okay, so if they come back and commit a crime, you no longer have innocence now. So where does that imply going? Now you're running from your original statement so you just gave a quote from him. How does that show that he intentionally sent innocent people to be tortured? Because that's when I would say it'd be evil. You have to prove to me that he sent innocent people to be tortured.
Do you believe
you have to prove that to me if you want to back up
you're asking me about the intentionality? I can prove that he sent innocent people to be tortured. I can prove that very easily.
No, intentionally. Sorry, intentionally, knowing that that's what he was doing, sent innocent people to be tortured.
Okay. Is there any
because he wanted innocent people to be tortured? Because that would be evil.
Oh,
if somebody wants an innocent person to be tortured, that would be evil in this context.
You walked it back again.
How am I walking it back?
You have to prove that he wanted to torture evil people.
No, innocent people. You have to prove he wanted to torture innocent people.
Didn't you say that it would be sufficient for him to not check?
No, I'm asking you to prove how he wanted to torture innocent people. Don't run from what I'm asking you to do. Don't run from what I'm asking you to do.
Earlier in the conversation, did you not say that it would also be evil to send people to be tortured without verifying if they're who they're supposed to be?
I think that, so here's also a difference that I think is important, but you want to spurg out and say none of this is important.
I'm so calm right now.
I think that an action can be evil, but it doesn't make the person ontologically evil, if they didn't have the intention, if they didn't have all the information, all of these nuances matter. But going to your original statement, no, so you're running from what I originally said. Prove that he intentionally sent innocent people to be tortured. Prove it.
If somebody didn't
I'm not
check
engaging with anything else until you back this
You're
up.
not engaging with anything. I know. Trust me.
I've
I'm
been
very
engaging
well
with you all
aware that
night.
you don't want to engage. I'm very well aware. So I just want to know.
But you're not very well aware if he sent innocent people to be tortured on purpose.
On purpose. That's why I'm asking you. Do I have
No, you're making the claim that he did. You're making the claim that he did. So back it up.
No, I'm not. That's not the claim I'm making. I don't know if you want.
Okay, so you're not making the claim. Whoa. So you're not making the claim that he intentionally sent innocent people to be murdered. Am I getting that right?
I'm saying
you are not making the claim.
My claim is very clear. He sent people to a torture camp with no due process.
Answer my question with a yes or no. Are you making the claim?
You're changing my claim.
No, I'm asking you, then correct me if I'm wrong. Did he intentionally send innocent people to be murdered? Yes or no?
Intentionally, we don't know if it was intentional.
Oh, so now if we go back, you said that it's not evil if it's not intentional. So you don't even know if it was intentional or not. So you don't know if he's evil.
That's why I'm asking.
Damn.
Do you walk back your claim?
Clip it.
Do you walk back your claim? Do you walk back your claim that sending people with no due process to a torture camp is not evil?
I think that it could. I think that action could be, but it depends on context and nuance. But again, I'm not up here making claims on people.
Of evil are fun.
No, but I'm not up here making these claims, and I just debunked your ass. You literally don't even know if he's evil by your own words. So it's over.
Definition of actually
by the way, that's why this shit matters. That's why this shit matters. You want to come up here and make claims and then bitch about whenever people call you out on them. So
listen, I understand that 200 people are being tortured. 200 people are being tortured in CCOT, and you want to ask me about what my definition of evil is.
Let's just for the audience's sake, he said it's not evil if there's no intention.
For the record, 238 people are being tortured right now, and I'm laughing hysterically.
Wow, isn't that crazy? 238 people being tortured, and you want to ask me about
now that we debunked that you actually don't know if Trump is evil or not.
The real material conditions. It's strange.
Now that we debunked that you actually don't know if Trump is evil or not because you don't know his intention, which is what you just said.
It's going to make you feel really good later.
It's a great in your utilitarian model. If it's all about pragmaticism and that regardless of not if it's attractive, what actually makes sending people to be tortured bad if it's better for society? If let's just say that let's just say that if we sent 200 people to be tortured,
I'm going to say
I'm providing you a hypothetical here. So let's say you could send 200 people to be tortured, and it would, for fact, raise GDP, societal morale, and make everything in a physical sense of society better if these 200 people got tortured. Say we'd get something back from the other country. Why is it bad and why is it evil?
It would depend on whether I wouldn't say that.
Oh, it would depend. It wouldn't be an objectively bad.
You said GDP go up if it goes up.
It's insane utility, ultra utility. It would be in high utility if we did it.
Yeah, if I say my moral system says whatever results in net utility is moral, and you say, okay, what if this bad thing resulted in net utility? I would say, yeah, that's moral.
Okay, so torturing innocent people without due process would be moral if it resulted in net utility.
We lived in the fantasy world that.
Okay, so this is not a serious person, and I rest my case.
Okay, real not serious person said, "I reject your framing, but I can't engage on."
No, you literally just admitted that you can't know if Trump is evil or not. I totally debunked your whole premise. So my work here is done.
The bar for knowing is Donald Trump coming out and saying, "I love torturing innocent people."
Well, no, I mean, are you acting like there's not means to prove that there was intention or not? There could be.
What are your means for? Well,
did we intentionally bomb Hiroshima?
What's your bar for justify? Like, what would you need to show intentionality?
Oh, I mean, there could be a various different things. There could be, like you made a quote that had nothing to do with what we were talking about. But if there was a quote of him on camera going, "Yeah, he went to those torture camps. Good. Maybe it'll teach people not to come back here." That would be one. If it was shown that it was put on his desk that it was happening, and they asked him to reconsider, and he directly said no, that would be one. There'd be lots of different ways you could prove this. Actually,
when Donald Trump signed a $6 million deal with Bukele to send these people to CCOT, do you think those State Department reports weren't shown to him?
Do you know that they were?
Do you think they weren't?
I don't know. I'm not making the claim, dude.
We can't think that.
Like I said, I already debunked you, dude. Just for the audience, I want to point this out.
To this person, there's nothing that.
No. Let me just point out how this dude just
show
self-owned.
Intentionality is impossible to meet. That's the point.
Yeah. Well, you're the one making the claim he's evil. You said that it's not evil if there's no intention, and then you said you have no clue if he had the intention or not. So your whole Trump is evil is actually, I don't know he's evil, but I think he is because I hate him.
When I said no, I don't think we can't prove intention. What I meant is I don't have a clip of him saying I want to torture innocent people. If you want to say that,
so you're just appropriating evil as a buzzword, and you don't actually stand on anything you say.
This is how the quote-unquote citizens get away with highly immoral behavior. If it's not Snidely Whiplash twirling his mustache, it's not fucking evil, right?
Ryan got booted, and then Barb tried to boot Rinald, but failed because Rinald is a protected citizen this evening. So I asked, who would you like to boot? And they chose Eli instead. So Eli, you're going to the back unless somebody boots somebody else to buy you back up. And then Osron will fill. Oops, cringy. You're getting back up. Okay. All right. And I'm going to read the rest of these super chats from earlier because the chat did buy the panel some more time. And speaking of, you have another timer. You all fucked around and now you're going to find out. And you're lucky I didn't put it for 15 minutes, you little shits. So hit the dono goal or else you're going to see me just go to bed and then you're really going to be upset. Crucible Crusader sends a 5 to hit the goal. Nate hit the 5 to hit the goal. Nuke hit the 8 to hit the goal. Australian dollars do count for something here. Michael says, Sarah has the ultimate authority, but come on. Yes, shoot those donos in. HQ says, this is for the kid and a beer. Definitely not. Just says, oh my God, what's going on here? Barb says 10 just for Sarah to get more coffee. I've yet to fill my cup. Too much going on right now, but I'm okay right now. We're going to keep going as long as you keep donoing. Michael says, GD here? Good here? I don't know. Something here. We're here. Kokomo says 20 and says, here's your babysitting pay for tonight, Sarah. Thank you so kindly. I will put the babysitter gloves back on. Gavin says, send the DE hire to the back. That was earlier. BB says, Trump's orange, tan, and hair comb over is evil. Doesn't make him evil. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And then Scott says, Rinald cooked and crispy fried.
Just to be clear again, no actual disagreements on any of the facts of the matter. Just to be clear, we all agree that all of this factually did happen. They just want to grill me on utilitarianism because that's the topic.
Well, that would make it determine whether it's evil or not. And Gavin says, bring Eli back. Osron, I got to shoot you back to the... well, actually, no, I got to ask you, Gavin, who do you want to boot to bring Eli? Please tag me in the chat, and I will replace whoever you so choose with our darling Eli. I think so you could still, that's the point. You can still agree on the facts of a scenario, but when it comes to making a morality claim such as bad, good, evil, whatever, so on and so forth, that's where you say, well, now I need to differentiate where this comes from. Boot the kid in the corner that snuck on the panel somehow. Which one is that?
I'm sorry,
Gavin, which one is that?
The fuck?
I really truly don't see the need to just debate bro around these terms. We all know what I'm saying when I say it. Obviously, it's not good. What the claim that I'm making is that it's bad, okay? And it's very bad, so it's evil. That's pretty clear. I defined that right at the very beginning. I said that I would be willing to use anybody else's definition, but instead, all of the fucking Andrew Wilson fucking ball coddlers, people trying to cozy up to him as much as they can, don't want to have any other conversation other than whether or not atheists can ground epistemic beliefs. So I really encourage these people to actually go out into politics and quiz a fucking politician on their meta-ethical beliefs and then get fucking 0% of the votes. Because this isn't convincing to anybody, it doesn't address any of the actual problems, and it's just fucking jacking off. It's like the debate bro equivalent of jacking off, because since they all believe in God, they can't do it any other way.
Let me, and I'm not even taking
Very well
a
articulated.
Christian standpoint on this, right? I'm simply asking based on what you're saying. So, can we agree in terms of abortion, right? We can agree the facts of the scenario of abortion, correct? We both agree you are eliminating something out of the body. It is, we would agree that you're killing something essentially, correct? Okay, so we agree on the facts of that, but what we would probably find disagreement on would whether that be good or bad, whether it be good or bad for the life inside the body, whether it be good or bad on the mother, and whether that be good or bad on the effects of society, correct?
And we can have a
okay, so
conversation
how do
on
we
whether or not-
derive, where we agree on the facts, how do we derive whether it is good or bad for society?
We can talk about whether or not that results in the most net utility. We can have that conversation, just like we can have the conversation. And I engaged with your question that you asked me directly, whether or not sending people to a torture camp with no due process results in net utility. Believe it or not, everybody, even people who are in fucking kindergarten, would agree that it does not. But for some reason, we have to have a 2-hour conversation about it and whether or not it adheres to Christian morality.
So that's not it at all.
Yeah, true.
We're trying to ground your epistemology. We're trying to validate whether you have epistemology at all. And our basic claim is you don't have any epistemology at which to claim Trump is evil.
You're jacking off. I know.
Simple as that.
It's really
See,
cool,
and
yeah.
this is all you just go to ad hominems making weird remarks about us. It's
Yeah,
simple as
because you guys
that. You
don't
don't
care about
actually have an
politics.
argument
I-
against
I
us,
care about
therefore you go
politics.
to
You don't care.
allies.
I care about politics. You don't care about politics. You
All right.
both literally the
I
same.
mean, I could insult your girly haircut, but I mean, shave it like a man.
Yeah,
but
I can't
mean,
insult
at
your
the same, at the same time, I'm not going to do that
Stop
because
it, you two. Andy, I love Andy, and this is why I love Andy. Andy is, if y'all say, Sarah, who's your absolute most 110% most favorite person in the world that shows up on these panels or in my chat, it's Andy, and this is why. Maybe this is helpful. Politics is the science of ordering the polis toward the common good, directing human activities to it. So how is Trump moving or moving away from the common good as you define it? Rinyal, to you.
Again, I think we're kind of hitting at the same thing. I don't think it's moving toward the common good to have the government make an accusation against somebody and then torture them based off of it. I don't think that moves towards any common good. I don't think it results in net positive utility. I don't think that it adheres to a Christian worldview. We can engage on any of that, but no one actually wants to challenge any of the facts that I'm laying out.
Hang on. And this is why we needed to sort this crap out. Because I said my definition of good is patriarchal protectionism. That is what I deem as good. And if that is my definition of good, you need to show me how Trump is being evil.
Are you defining good as like, is the referent there good, or are you actually saying that patriarchal protectionism is good?
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
we can't hear you, Paige.
Is
Yeah.
it just
Okay,
like
I'm saying a descriptive claim.
Who
How
cares
is it-
about an extra category you put things in that you think we have to rejudge moral behaviors and actions of? Like, who cares? We
Because
judge
if you
actions
can't
on their
define
own.
evil, if you cannot define
Yeah, and
evil,
if you
I'm
define
going to tell you my
behaviors in a
definition of
category
good.
that you say are default good, then we're never going to have an argument with it because
Yes.
you're saying
We
it's default
define
good by
evil,
nature.
by the way.
It's fucking
So-
circular and stupid.
No, it's not. If we judge
No, it's
it
not
by
circular.
No, it's not.
It's a
I want to
juxtaposition.
open up.
Special
Hold
plead
on.
everything. That's our
I
fucking
want
superpower.
to. I'd like to open it up.
It's a juxtaposition.
Osron, do you have something to add to the
Yeah.
panel?
Sarah, I was going to ask you if I could ask Renyard this question. Can I ask you the question, Renyard?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. See, in the Cold War, there were two factions, like the capitalist bloc and the communist bloc. Before that, it was every nation looking out for itself and its national interests. Now the Cold War is over and the shift has slowly begun again. Like every nation is looking out for its own interests. So if you actually see, America is the backbone of NATO. If anything happens to any European country, it's America that steps in. We saw that in two wars like Afghanistan and Iraq, where without American support, NATO would collapse. So now most of the times the Americans have had a bad deal actually. So Trump is just trying to look out for the interests of his own country, because for a long time the Americans have sacrificed a lot. So why do you feel that he's evil?
I don't think torturing people torturing people with no due process is in furtherance of making things more fair.
Is this just like all you put on your notes? Is brown man bad, brown man tortured people, continue to grill people over brown man torturing people,
It's
reiterate
orange, not
brown man
No,
tortured.
listen,
Orange man tortured brown people.
I have 4 separate points, but you guys can't engage on the facts of this one, so why the fuck would I move on to any other one?
Well, let me try to engage at least from your perspective. Like,
Please.
if you're saying that it has to have high util in order for it to no longer be immoral, so what is it about what's happened here with Trump that you're bringing up that you're saying is bringing low util to the country? Can you describe that?
That we're setting the precedent that the government can just make an accusation against somebody and then torture them for it without having any other body.
But that's just like your opinion, bro. What if the precedent is being set, like Sarah said, that actually you shouldn't F around and find out?
By the way.
Yeah, you shouldn't F around and find out in the country. How can you determine if your util is just based off your preference? Then
do you think
maybe it's setting a precedent for people to not break the law? I don't know.
You believe that would result in net utility?
Pardon me.
I think
for
it could,
just a
yeah,
moment.
absolutely.
Can I do a sound check for
Yeah.
Paige? Paige, can you try? No, it's not working.
No.
I'm not even getting a green light on your end. So, did you hit the little wheel down at the bottom for settings? Go to audio, and then from audio, you should be able to pick your input, which at the top it'll say mic, and you can select which mic you're using. And if you can't see it, then it's not plugged in, and it's not it's not recognizing it on your end. And also question, depending on if you're using Google Chrome, I think Safari too, sometimes that can differentiate as well. So maybe if your mic's not getting picked up in your settings, you may want to try a different
Browser.
web. Thank you. I could never find my fucking
I remember
words.
from the last debate, you need people to finish.
Sarah,
Watch your words sometimes.
Okay.
Sarah,
So
I've got to. I'm going to bed. I've got work at 8 a.m. in the morning. Okay, I
That's
want to
fair.
say that I don't know why you host any other debates other than like grounding ethical systems, when every single political conversation that you ever host in any live ever is going to be brought to meta ethics. I don't know why we would host any sort of political live. I think I've gotten better engagement on the facts from like TikTok debates, but listen, I love you.
It's a low bar.
I hope you I hope you guys prosper, and I hope you guys do actually get to the core of all of ethics. Okay, I do. I hope you do. But until then, we're going to be talking about actual observable realities and politics and stuff. And if you want to find me anywhere, go to @Rinyald. I love you. I love you, Sarah.
Thank you, Rinyald. We appreciate you.
Goodbye.